If you're looking for exclusive content, please don't look any further than joining the Trap Talk Patreon family. Some of the best reptile keepers in this industry are part of the Trap Talk Patreon family. As soon as you join the Patreon family, you connect to a Discord. You can also tap into an Instagram group chat, connect with some of the most diverse keepers we have in the reptile hobby today. Shout out to my Patreon members and be ready for Trap Fest 2026. It's going to be one of the biggest events yet. Find all information again in the very first link in the description below. And again, thank you so much to all my fellow Patreon members out there.
T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
All right, guys. Tiki Geckos this week. Pretty excited. Been want to talk to these guys for about 4 weeks now. But before we get rolling in, let's do the usual. Super Show's coming up July 11th and 12th. I will not be there. I will be in Little Rock, Arkansas. So for the 15 people that live in Little Rock, come see me. Next, Southeast Reptile Expo. I will be at that one. Haven't missed one yet. Don't plan on ever missing this one. Really love everything about the vibe down there. Anybody gets an opportunity to come out, do so. You'll love the show. After that, US Art, guys. Same story every week, man. There's always another fight. Keeping consideration a little bit goes a long way with these guys. You know, they're not going to have their auction this weekend at Tinley, so, you know, reach out and do something good for these guys, man. Give them a shout out. But I think that's it. I think we're ready to get rolling. Dave, it's good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you too, Dave.
Man, yeah, I was talking about it. You know, we used to talk a lot more. I love seeing you guys at Daytona. I liked it better when you guys were set up right across from Chad, so I could just stare at you the whole time. Now they got you in that corner. I'm kind of bummed out about that.
I know. The thing is, one Daytona I missed. Like I was late on the payment, so then he rearranged the whole thing, and now I'm like somewhere else. But whatever.
Yeah, no. In your same island, you got my buddy Winston and Brock, the ball python breeders with all the sunset stuff on the end cap. Same deal, man. I think the safety deposit box got a little thick and they couldn't fit their thing in there. Got sent back. They busted his ass and put him over there. So, yeah, Daytona doesn't fuck around. I kind of love that.
Yeah, no, Wayne does not fuck around at all.
Yeah. Well, everybody knows the rules. Nobody's favored at all. But, so yeah, man. So, got anything current events going on with Tiki Geckos?
Yeah, so I mean, we don't do as many shows these days, but we have obviously Daytona coming up in about 2 months. And I've been doing, I don't know if you've seen, but I've been doing this kind of like a competition, a confirmation competition called Gold Standard Gecko Club. I did it at last year's Daytona. I'm going to do it again at this year's. But other than that, just, you know, breeding geckos. I'm excited about all the new stuff that's come up and just starting to work in with a lot of different mutations and my line bred stuff. So it's fun, man. It's always fun.
All right, what's your balance like across the board with all the Ractodactylus stuff? Like, you know, where are your gargoyles ranking compared to your chihuahuas right now? Like, tell me about some of your group sizes you got going on.
So by far, my biggest like breeding groups are gonna be the Crested geckos and the gargoyle geckos. I have not that many pairs of lychees and kahuas or chihuahuas. I probably have about, you know, like 10 pairs of kahuas and lychees. And then the rest of the stuff like gargoyles and cresteds, man, I mean, I have a lot. Probably like, I don't know, a couple hundred breeders of each.
Yeah, you know, I've always kind of liked the gargoyles the most out of everything. Even like, you know, 20 years ago, I had a buddy that was working with some of that stuff, and I was bringing some of his animals to the show for him. And, you know, I remember like finally my buddy gave up on all that. He's like, no one's buying these things. Take all my shit to the next show. And I think it was like a Knoxville, Tennessee show. No exaggeration. lines in front of the table. Every adult breeder sold in one sitting. Vendors came over and bought those things. Within 3 months later, all of a sudden, gargoyle geckos started becoming popular.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I think no, I was just gonna say that I think it goes in like it's like cyclical. You know, I see so many things that get popular and then they kind of die down and they kept wait a couple years, it gets popular again, and it's just like a cycle.
yeah, but so is the red stuff still king right now in that community, or like what's the highest end projects?
So I think red is going to be king for a long time, but it's changed. Whereas, like the very, very, peak of the red stuff is always going to be king, in my opinion. But like the mid grade to lower end red stuff is like, people don't care about it as much. You have to be a lot more competitive with pricing at those, at like the regular red stripe stuff. But what's good is that it's given like a lot more people are into gargoyle geckos right now, and you'll see like a lot of people are getting into the pink based stuff, the yellow based stuff, the black and whites, which I feel like a couple years ago they were very underappreciated and underrated. So I think it's definitely good for the hobby. I think to for people to actually start looking at different things and not just focus on the red.
Is that market played with similar rules that the Crested Gecko market does? That you know, when suddenly people stop breeding a certain color line and the availability goes way down, suddenly the popularity starts going up again.
Yeah, I would say like the crested gecko market is that like magnified, right? But definitely it's funny because like, like with the crested geckos, when I started, tiger, like a nice yellow tiger crested gecko was like a wholesale gecko. It's like very common, nobody really cared to work with it. Everybody wanted to do pinstripes and all that. And nowadays, everybody's worked with pinstripes and harlequins and lily whites and all that stuff that all these years we've neglected the tigers. Now they're coming back and everybody's excited about them again. And they're selling for like more than they have ever sold for before. So it's the same with the gargoyles, man. It's like back then it was the black and whites that were like the most common thing, $80. And now I've been selling them for like $200. So
Um, so talking tiger stuff with Cresteds, I remember a project is probably over a decade old with Pangea. I want to say they were calling it the Triple X.
yeah.
Is that a tiger type project, or would that be considered that, or is that its own thing?
Yeah, so that is an extreme Harlequin project, but the patterning type is tigering. So the tiger, it's like an influence of the pattern. So tiger breaks the pattern vertically, and pinstripe pushes a pattern horizontally. So that's why you might see like a quad stripe crested gecko where the pattern on the sides is like a perfect line. That's because it has heavy pinstripe influence, whereas a harlequin, traditional harlequins like or like the triple X stuff from Pangea, it looks like flames coming from the sides all the way up to like the dorsal area. So but yeah, it's influenced, it's heavy tiger influencing with those geckos for sure.
Have you guys found a way to cross the really high Dalmatian stuff with something else where you can get a balance of both, or do you ruin everything about Dalmatian when you try crossing them out?
It's like most people in our hobby, like in the crested gecko space, they don't want Dalmatian spots on patterned geckos. They want to keep Dalmatians separate. So they want to have like a really nice, clean baseless or Dalmatian that doesn't have any pattern on it, like no harlequin or pinstriping. They want just plain yellow or plain red. There's a few of us out there that actually like the spots regardless, whether they're on a super Dalmatian that's clean based or a patterned gecko. But I gotta say, like throughout the whole time I've been doing this, most people prefer the clean Dalmatians, and they don't want to get Dalmatian spots on their patterned geckos.
That's fair. I like the Dalmatian xanthic stuff I've seen. I think
Yeah.
that's definitely a really good project. Now, with that new line of albino that looks like the market just got, do you I remember, I think from the video, the parents are very high pattern. It almost looked like it was a completely patternless animal. Is that
Yeah.
something that you might want to go Dalmatian with first and see if you can get some of those spots in there before you try to cross into anything else?
You know, that's interesting because, you know, theoretically, if you put Dalmatian spots, what is it going to do? The albinism is going to turn the Dalmatian spots, what, like white or something? I don't know. So I don't even know. We're so early with that. I think she probably hasn't even thought of doing that, but that's actually a really good idea because, I mean, can you imagine just like a gecko? It look like a paradox. It would look like something that doesn't even make sense, like with Dalmatian spots, but instead of black spots are like white or something. I don't know what that would do. But I think
Yeah,
that's definitely something super exciting, and I didn't even think of that until you said that. I've
that's
never
cool,
thought of
man. That's
that.
why you gotta have conversations with people, man. You gotta
Yeah,
have people outside of the community that think outside the box.
100%.
But that's actually, we're kind of bouncing around a little bit, but that was really my favorite thing about the skink community. I talk about it all the time. About 10 years ago when I started developing, is there were so many new eyes that came into the community all at once, and everyone kind of like had this own like thing they had going on. And because
Yeah,
of that, like, we took like 10 steps forward in just a couple years just because we had so many new eyes. So,
yeah,
sometimes fresh looks out of community can really help things.
100%. I agree, 100%. Yeah,
But I'm trying to think. So, I want to go through a little bit of like the course of mutations through that community because it went from 0 to like 10 in like days. It felt like it was
yeah,
nonstop. And I always joke around like the way some of these were discovered. It took somebody breeding the ugliest geckos they had to make a cappuccino, like something that just got disregarded for years, wholesale $20, $17. But was the lily white the first true established mutation in that community, or was there something before that? Like Xanthic came after that, right?
yeah. Well, the lily white, I wouldn't say it was the first, but it was definitely the because looking back at it now, there were some other things that we had, but we just didn't understand. But Lily White was the one that kind of like made us like it was like a no-brainer. That's an incomplete dominant, right? And then yeah, and then came Xanthic, and then everything else started to pop up. It was actually like Lily White, Xanthic, I believe, and then it was a couple years of nothing, and then like everything else just popped back to back to back to back, which is like we're on the tail. We're still, I feel like, going through that because even this year, well, this year the albinos hatched, but last year I think we saw some pieds, like just a bunch of stuff has been popping up. It's crazy, and I'm sure there's even more stuff out there in Korea or wherever that people haven't even shown yet. So it's exciting.
No, that's awesome. So do you think it was just the fact that, they were so inbred that eventually mutations were just going to pop up because we really haven't had much new stock come in, or have we?
Yeah, I know. No, we haven't. No. I think, yeah, I think that's one of the reasons. I think that also with the lily whites really brought a new level of popularity for the crested geckos, and I think that along with COVID was a big thing too. We had a really big influx of people coming into the hobby from COVID, and I think when you have a lot of new breeders, maybe like you said, new people might not think the same way, and they might think, oh, something looks cool that a traditional breeder would steer away from, and they breed that, and then they figure out, oh, actually this is a gene. So I think that new like blood that got injected into the hobby definitely brought um kind of like it uncovered a bunch of genetics that might have been there, but we weren't paying attention to, or we just thought they were ugly geckos. And now that we see these new genetics, and now that some of the like, higher end breeders are getting their hands on them, they could start to really play with it and push that genetic to the limit, and really produce some incredible stuff. Whereas they might have never even seen they might have never even had those we may have never even had those genetics if it wasn't for new people coming in and trying to breed some of those unique geckos.
No, for sure. And, a couple things that popped up of like some of the bigger producer guys, the guys that are mass producing for like the pet trade,
Yeah,
pretty much that
big time.
albino in a sense came from a company just like that. just happened to
Yep.
be within their stock. The cappuccino, I think I heard the same. I
And the
think that
leucistics.
leucistic, yeah, leucistic. Man, to have a nice, healthy leucistic, like that is freaking awesome, man. I never thought that could happen in that community because what is the super lily white that's a leucistic that dies in the egg, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Nobody's been able to produce a healthy super lily white. And when you see a super lily white and then you see one of these leucistics, they look identical. So everybody was very kind of like they had almost like PTSD from their experience with the super lilies. But I could tell you because I have a couple of those of those leucistics, and they are 100% healthy. Haven't seen a single health issue. And even before I got them, I kind of like poked around and made sure that they were going to be good before I started messing with them. So it's looking good.
That's smart, man. What was I thinking about? Yeah, I remember it was Sean that made the first one, I believe, right?
Sean, no.
Who?
Sean, who? Who are you referring to?
I'm gonna sound like an idiot right now. I don't know his last name. We're gonna come back to
No,
it.
well, it was so there was a guy in I think he's in Illinois. His name is Brian, that
Brian.
he
I
was
called Brian Sean Sprees. I meant Brian. I'm an idiot. He's watching. I
so
apologize. As soon as I said, I knew I was wrong.
so yeah, so Brian produced I think the first one, and then well, so Brian showed the first one, but turns out that Reptiles by Mac had some, and they just never they had it kind of like under wraps, um, because I think they were getting a lot of backlash from the super cappuccinos, and they thought it could be the same thing, or they were still trying to figure out what it was. But shortly after Brian came out with his and showed his, then they came out and they said, "Oh, look, these are all of our adults. We've bred them. It's an incomplete dominant." And they sent out a whole email, and it was like, "Oh shit, you guys have had this the whole time." And yeah, they said they showed like the results they had, their breeding results and everything. So it was super interesting. Yeah.
And I feel like that project had the name changed a couple times, but it's
Oh
Fires
yeah.
and Super Fires now after the ball python.
Look, so that's what Brian calls them. Um, so the super fire being the leucistic, and then the fire being the single gene. I personally don't like that name because back in the day, we used to call a flame a crested gecko, which is like basically a very basic looking crested gecko that has like, let's say, like a brown color with like a lighter orange or cream markings down the back. We used to call those fires, or we used to call those flames or fires. It was interchangeable. So I don't like the name fire crested gecko, but yeah, some people refer to them as fires or super fires. Some other people refer to them as leucistic or het leucistic. And then there are like the Koreans tend to call them genetic hypos, because that's originally what the first name of them was that Brian had kind of came up with. But yeah, so it's like they all refer to the same thing basically. The Reptiles by Mac was calling them pinkies. It's like a mess. But yeah, I think
Well,
we're all on the same page now, though, kind of.
so I it's not that I like taking sides, but I will say, like, I remember when that Super Fire ball python came out back in the day and that close up eye shot. And man, that Crested Gecko really makes me think of those pictures way back in the day. So I like the Fire
Yeah,
and Super Fire personally. I'm not even a big ball python
yeah,
guy, and
yeah,
I
yeah.
still like it, man. I'm sorry. But
Yeah, it's all good. I think it could be a little confusing, especially for like the people who have been in here. Maybe that they had crested geckos like 20 years ago and then they came back to it. But yeah, I mean everybody will eventually learn the terms, and it is what it
so
is.
here's a question. So talking like leucistic boas or leucistic ball pythons, there are some genes that we've learned that if you breed into them actually show through a little bit. Like with the boas, you got Del Bono, he put the IMG boa into it, and now the leucistic gets more freckly in the face, really almost blacks out. Do you think there's anything have you thought about manipulating leucistic, or do you think leucistic's just going to always be leucistic?
I think we're still super early on it. Like I haven't hatched out a super fire yet, or a leucistic. I've just hatched out the heterozygous version. Um, and maybe we'll see something like that. I don't know yet. I think it's still too early. And honestly, like the ones who have been breeding them for the longest, which is Reptiles by Mac, I don't think they're into like experimenting and everything. They just want to crank them out and
All right,
sell
well,
them. So
how about this angle on the project? So in the ball python and boa community with the fire gene, it's an enhancer gene that goes into projects. Are the
yeah.
hepatocystics used in a way as like an enhancer gene in these other projects?
So that's how I was looking at it in the beginning. I thought, like, theoretically, I thought it was going to make the yellows brighter or cleaner. And same with the reds. I'm still very early, so I can't say for sure. And I think that most people working with them haven't worked with them to the extent that they would be able to, tell you, confidently. But I do foresee that that's going to be one of the big kind of like, motivating factors to why you should breed those is to maybe clean up the reds, clean up the yellows, make brighter colors. Since it seems to get rid of when they hatch out, they almost have like a translucent look. It's almost like they have like a thinner layer of skin or something. It's really interesting.
Hmm.
The
Interesting.
heterozygous version, the fires.
Huh. I wonder what the deal with that is. I wonder if it's legitimately a thinner skin or just something about the pigment that just makes it look that way.
Well, like the super version, if you look at them closely, they have different scalations where towards the top they have like more regular scales, and then like on the sides and to the bottom of their belly, you'll see like the scales are definitely very, very like tiny, and there's like it almost looks like it's like scaleless or something, but it's different. I have to send you some like close-up shots so you can look, because it looks like there's a different like, and they all have different like gradients of this, but some will have more like it almost just looks like skin, bro. It's weird to you have to really see them up close.
It's interesting. I got to see the first leucistic, at the first Tinley it came out to. I actually got to hold it. I thought it was pretty baller. I didn't put it too close to my
Yeah.
face. I didn't want to be too disgusting, maybe cough on it a little bit. I figured just from afar, I was trying to be polite. I knew it was worth a lot of money. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, I like just the way the mindset of breeding changes, just in the hobby as a whole, because like you said, where everything was about making leucistics in certain communities, eventually they get burnt out and then they go a different direction with the genes that help you make a leucistic. And they realize there's actually a better way using the gene that way. So, I'm sure there's going to be a couple projects when you put the fires into it, it's going to tweak them in a way you're going to be pretty happy long term, as long as it doesn't
Yeah.
dilute things out too much.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that we kind of have seen that to an extent with like cappuccinos and stuff, and like people are using it to like get more fringing on the head, where you see like the white outline on the crests. Like the frappuccinos and the cappuccinos are excellent for that. And the cappuccinos like enhance dark pigment where to a point that when you breed them into phantoms, you'll get some like pitch black geckos. If you make like phantom cappuccinos, they're like pitch black and they look like even better than some exantics. So it's really cool.
All right. So is Phantom a nickname for something or is that its own gene?
Sorry, what?
Oh, Phantom. That's not what I'm really familiar with. Is that its own single gene or is that a combination?
So phantom is like a patternless gecko. It's basically a gecko that doesn't have the harlequin markings. That's what a phantom is. Now, some people, including myself, I think it's like a recessive gene. There's different trains of thought out there that I wouldn't be able to explain to you because I don't fully understand how they see it, but I think it's a recessive gene. And yeah,
Did
it basically mutes the harlequin markings.
All right. Was that something that came up in conversation when you guys were discussing the albino? That Phantom gene?
I don't remember honestly.
Oh yeah, because I feel like I haven't, but have heard Phantom before, but haven't. You know, I'm thinking
Yeah, yeah.
darker. I was thinking Phantom Beast something darker in my head.
Well, they do like they tend to get to add a little bit of darkness to the gecko sometimes, but you could also breed like really nice bright phantoms. So just selective breeding, honestly, just makes you can make anything you want.
All right. So Sable was one that I thought looked the best out of all the dark genes that hit that community. It seemed like the super was the healthiest. Am I right?
Yes, 100%.
All right. Are you messing with that gene yet?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have sables. I produced some nice sables already this year. I like it a lot. It works very similar to the cappuccino. A lot of us think it is like allelic to the cappuccino because if you breed sable to sable, you have the super form that is, like you said, the healthiest out of all of the cappuccino complex animals, or the super forms. If you breed sable to a cappuccino, you get like not quite a super cappuccino and not quite a super sable, something in between, and they don't seem to be as healthy as the super sables.
Hmm.
So we think it's allelic gene that shares the same allele with like the cappuccinos and another thing called highways. But it's really interesting. The sables seem to add a lot of white and cream. Like it makes it easier to add cream and white than the cappuccinos, at least from our experience so far.
Huh. I'm gonna have to look into that a little bit more. That's one that kind of stood out to me, but I think I see the least amount put out there about it. Like I'm not really seeing a lot of crosses yet. I just see a lot of pictures of supers.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people don't really breed the sables to the caps anymore. In the beginning, they did. A lot of people did just to figure out exactly what was going on. But these days, I don't really see a lot of people talking about it.
Yeah, and you know, I was thinking like across the board in like a lot of species where you run into a lot of allelic traits. You know, most times
Yeah.
they're pretty healthy and do pretty good. There's a couple of allelic ball pythons, like there's the entire wobble complex. That you breed any of those
Yeah.
animals together, you make something that's even more wobbly than anything you saw before. But a lot of other species, when you run into allelic stuff, usually the allelic babies are very strong.
Yeah, I know. My logic would tell me that would be the case, but that's not what we've seen. With at least with the sables and the caps.
That's fair. That's fair. Trying to think. We missing any genes that have popped up in that market?
Oh man, yeah. I mean, so we have like I kind of briefly mentioned, the highways are similar to the cappuccinos and the sables. I think they look more like a sable, but they don't get as much like lateral pattern for whatever reason. Um, what other genes? I mean, there's this thing called the chochos, which is a recessive gene that came out of Korea that is kind of adds like a red undertone to the geckos.
Hmm.
There is marbling. Oh yeah, man. There's so many things popping up. The marbling seems to be related to the lilies, and they just like break up the lily pattern and add a bunch of dark streaks through it. So there's quite a few stuff popping up. Like I said earlier, there's pieds that are coming up in Korea. They don't look like a traditional like ball python pied, but it's interesting for sure.
Have you
There's a lot
seen
of stuff
this?
coming.
What is it? Terry Hewing's girlfriend works on the Pie Project. I don't know. I can't remember her name right now. Um, Dixie Reptiles. Have you seen that stateside?
Yes, yeah, Nikki.
Nikki.
Yeah.
Nick.
So she has a pied. She has a pied. Yeah, she has some that she hatched that are exactly like the ones I've seen in Korea. They're very, very different looking geckos. And I think if I'm not mistaken, they kind of like progress. Like it doesn't start. It might start off with some white toes, and then it starts to creep up the arms and the belly. I think, and honestly, the lady that had Nicole, the lady that hatched the albinos, also has some of those in her collection.
Yeah, was she calling those like sock foot or something like that?
White toes, but
White
she
toes.
had, but it's two separate things. White toes and pieds are two separate things, but they start off similar.
Okay, interesting. Is there
Yeah.
any project you don't have that you're already trying to work on getting? I know there's some stuff that's just in the market, but have you got your foot in the door on the albino, the pieds, anything like that yet?
No, no. I want to get into the albinos eventually, obviously. I think that is like probably the biggest morph to come out with crested geckos. I think lily whites are the best in my opinion. I just love the lily white, what it does. I think it makes everything better. But I think albino is probably going to be bigger just because it is an albino. And eventually I want to get to work with it. It's going to be a couple years, I feel, though, because she said she was intending to hold, most of them back and like really work it herself before she starts releasing them. But you never know. I mean, maybe I get lucky and we work something out with her or something. But I'd love to get my hands on some albinos. As far as any other morphs that I don't have right now that I want to start working with, the one I mentioned, the marbling, I think those are really cool. They're very unique and they seem healthy, which sometimes I see new morphs pop up and I don't even register them because I could already tell the animal doesn't look healthy. But the marbling looks healthy and the albinos look healthy, which are two things that I want to work with in the future.
Okay. Marbling, I was going to look it up. Is that just like something low in the body, like a pixelation?
It's hard to explain. Yeah, it's like kind of like like a wagyu steak or something that has like all the white, like it's like a bunch of white streaks throughout the whole steak. It's almost like that with the crested geckos. You got to look it up.
Is that a good
If you have
example?
on Instagram, you'll find them.
Is that one or
Yeah,
no?
yeah, that top. Yeah, that's one. That's one. Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah, it
Okay.
breaks it up. There's definitely some higher expression ones, but that is one, yes.
Nice. Shit example. Hopefully no one saw that. Well, what about like so with gargoyles? Has there been a mutation that's popped up in that community that just didn't make it all the way, or it's just kind of just lion bred stuff?
Right now it's line bred stuff. There is recently there's been two things that have popped up that may be like recessive mutations. I happen to be working with one of them and I'm trying to prove them out. So it's like we're calling them clown gargoyle geckos, and what it does is it tends to reduce pattern, and sometimes it'll create circles on the laterals of the geckos. So I bred a male, I imported a male, and I bred him to two of my females that obviously don't have any track or lineage of any of that stuff. So, and single gecko I produced looked like normal looking. And then I also bred that male to and so a buddy of mine, I don't know if you know Eric from ZoomEd, right? Eric Russell.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
so Eric imported a gecko a couple years back from Canada that has the same pattern. So it has like some ovals on the laterals, completely different than anything you'd ever see. And he bred them to like a random male, and then he produced basically all these really nice striped geckos, but nothing out of the ordinary. So I bred some of those like offspring of that gecko to my male that showed display the same pattern, and I hatched some that have the same circular pattern. So in theory, those would be recessive het females, and I bred them to a visual, and I've got some babies that are visuals. And then when I bred my visual male to a unrelated normals, all my babies look normal, and they're hets or they're carriers. So at least that's theoretically in my mind. But so we have that going on. That's probably going to be another 2 years before I have any more significant like data to be able to say, okay, this is recessive for sure, but it does seem that way. And then I have another project that's called I call it like the white gargoyle gecko project. And these geckos are completely white. When they fire up, there's some geckos, gargoyle geckos that are white base animals that are white when they're fired down, but when they fire up, you see the dark stripes running across their body. These geckos is not the case. When they're fired up, they're like paper white, and when they fire up, They get like more of like a pastel, like light yellow coloration. And right away when I first saw when I saw one at at Reptile show, and I asked them about it, and I said, "That's a really odd gecko. Does that fire up any darker?" And they said, "Nope, that's as dark as it gets." So I bought it, bred it for a couple years, but never really. I was trying to selectively breed it and never went anywhere with it. Then I'm like, years later, I'm like, maybe this is recessive. So I started holding stuff back. I actually bought the brother of that animal that was the same type of phenotype, and I grew out their daughters. I bred one animal's daughters to the other, and so on. Produced a bunch of geckos. Nothing like those geckos, but I did produce some geckos that are ironically similar to the fire crested geckos, where they look like they have a thinner layer of skin and they're almost like hypo-ish. So I have 3 of those growing out that I'm thinking maybe that has something to do with it, but it's not exactly the same look that the dads have. So I'm not sure where the hell that leaves me. Anyways, that will be a project down the line that I'll figure out. But as you know, Dave, like some of these breeding projects take, years and years and generations before you kind of like figure out exactly what's going on. And sometimes you may not even figure anything out.
No, I was gonna say, like, depending on the species you're working with, sometimes it takes almost a decade before you even go to market with something, just because either low production, things that go right and wrong along the way. Jeff knows all about that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'm here. I didn't even know you added me because I wasn't added. Hey David, how's it going?
That's going good, man. We were talking about what goes. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I'm Dave too. I'm gonna make that mistake every time. Yeah. You meant that, Dave.
I meant both actually.
I'll take it.
What up? What up, Jeff?
We're talking about just how long it takes for certain mutations to go to market when you're starting with just one. Like, building a project up from a single gene mutation, proving it out, building your stock up. We're talking gargoyles. He has a couple projects he's working on right now that he hopes to be recessive.
Oh, cool. What's the turnover rate on breeding a gargoyle? Like, what do you normally breed a female gargoyle at? Like 2 years old or 18 months, something like that?
Yeah, I wait at least 2.5 years. Sometimes you wait 3 years. Yeah.
Okay.
It's no leopard geckos, bro.
Okay. Yeah, I'm a bit rusty with the Rhacodactylus. I've kept a few Cresteds, and my dad actually had gargoyles, and like I always liked them, but I never actually really bred them. So yeah, leopard geckos get a turnover much quicker. So gargoyles a little slower. So it's kind of like I guess like the Leachianus are like that, maybe a little longer, sometimes maybe 4 years on leeches. Is that right?
Yeah, it could be for sure. Usually 3 is pretty good also, but I mean some of these geckos, like especially with like the gargoyles or like the chihuahuas, I always say like I rather wait a little bit extra than breed early, because those 2 species in particular take the breeding pretty rough. Like the egg laying process is rough on them.
Well, so it seems like that's for a lot of species, like even like hognose snakes, if you push them, you're more likely to have issues. If you let them kind of age out and get that good build, do you look for that with your Rhacodactylus too, like a good mature look? Like they have like more of broad head and like more mature characteristics. Gotcha, cool.
So
exactly, like some people will get an animal almost to like breeding size in like 1.5 years, but you could always tell because like the head doesn't catch up to like the body, if that makes any sense, or vice versa. Sometimes you could tell a gecko hasn't had like the most optimal diet growing up, because it'll be like a smaller gecko, but the head is kind of like bigger, if that makes sense. So I know exactly what you're talking about, Jeff. Yeah.
You get the baby face. Dave, though, he does boas. That's a big one in boas. I'd always hear about that, even though I never did boas. Like people cranking up red tails, like trying to breed them at like 2.5 years old, and you see these big ones, and they got these little young looking faces.
Yeah, it's ball pythons unaffected, man. You feed the shit out of those things, they're still proportionate because they're always just so fucking fat.
I have seen people breed those pretty quick and do pretty good with them. I'm always shocked when somebody's I bred like an 18-month-old female ball python. I got 7 eggs. I'm like, really?
Yeah. I'm going the other way now. I'm waiting 5 or 6 years and I'm breeding them small because I've just maintenance fed them for 5 years.
Okay. Well, that's probably closer to more natural growth, honestly. You
Yeah,
know, really.
that's what I keep saying. Yeah.
Now,
Yeah. Just say that to yourself.
David, Tiki's Geckos, David. What do you think about those documentaries where they go to, like, you know, New Caledonia and they're looking at these like populations of the Cresteds and Gargoyles and Leachianus? Did you see anything like? Do you watch those? You know, what do you think about those videos or any of that information?
You know, man, I love that kind of stuff. I cannot watch that enough. If anybody puts something out like that, I'm always watching it because I'm always curious. I know that, for example, like people in the gecko in the New Caledonian gecko world, everybody's like, don't get your geckos over, 82 degrees or whatever. And I'm like, guys, New Caledonia is pretty warm during the summertime, you know. Obviously there's different pockets, and it's not like you're gonna put a basking light on a crested gecko, but it's always interesting to see like how these animals actually look in the wild, because sometimes people think an animal looks thin in their collection and they couldn't be farther from the truth. Sometimes I think our industry and our hobby tends to overfeed a lot of animals, especially
Sure.
like the crested geckos looking so cute, nice and fat. But you don't, from my experience, you don't want fat females or fat geckos in general, because they don't do good, they don't produce good, and they don't thrive like the others. But it is always interesting. I love watching that stuff. Hopefully one day I'm the one making the video like that.
That would be really cool. That'd be neat to see those in the wild. It's pretty interesting to see them too, because, like, you know, you're used to seeing them in captivity. So when somebody does do this documentary and you see them and like they show like adult cresteds with like regen tails and they look real muscular and they're lean, you know, that's pretty cool. What's up, man?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yo.
We got the duo. I remember when I first met you guys, we were all young guns. We're still young, kind of.
Yeah,
Pretty
yeah.
young. You guys are younger than me. But this is Daytona, man. Yeah. So it's good to see you guys, like, you know, come
Yeah.
with the growth of everything, you know. Manny
Yeah.
with your awesome blue tongues and, you know, all the racket stuff.
Did you guys see that one that we posted today on the Facebook page? And Manny's been posting it too, but the one he's calling Sosa.
Oh no, I've been in Tinley. They had to do a June one, so I was like, God dang it, I gotta go out here. So I haven't been like on anything.
Yeah, bro.
Bro, he legit sent me that picture.
Check it out.
He sent me that picture and I was like, you edited this. And he's like, nope. I was like, holy shit, bro. I cannot. Every time we see that thing, or
It's on the Facebook?
yeah, with a blue tongue.
Oh, okay. Dave, do you have it?
No, it's on the Facebook. It's on the
Okay.
Tiki's Geckos
Yeah,
Facebook
Tiki's
page.
Geckos
Yeah.
Facebook. It's
Okay.
the last post. But yeah, I texted that to David because I took that. I was on the phone with my friend and we were talking about like the blue tongue market, and then we were looking at other people's animals on Morph Market, and then I'm like,
Oh, wow.
man, I got you should see my red stuff. And then I pull out Sosa, I take a photo, and I'm like,
Oh.
dang. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that animal because, you know, we were kind of small talking and we were kind of talking about things you might be selling. And then you sent me that picture. So I thought you were going to maybe sell me that animal. And then you told me no, like immediately.
Yeah.
Cool. But
That's beautiful.
so you got there by breeding the Swedish line into the Jeff Green red line stuff, right?
Yeah, Jeff Green and like James Fenn red stuff. And yeah, so basically, you know, a lot of nice reds have been produced for a while now, but one of my things with them is like I hate that after a few years they tend to fade out and they tend to pale, and it's like, bro, this ain't the same animal. And so what I decided to do was to breed them to my Swedish stuff. Reason being is the Swedish animals, and David, you know, could tell you as well, that there's some animals that are like 8+ years old and they still look incredible, right? They've never faded. They look as good as they did when they were 1-2 years old. And I started pairing them, you know, together to hopefully make really nice reds that keep the red color. And I haven't even been able to do like a red Swedish or red Swedish yet, because everything I kind of keep back hasn't been the correct sex. and that animal is a red line animal to a red Swedish line animal. So just wait till I can start putting it back to each other, and hopefully, I could do that this year.
Very impressive. It reminds me, it's almost like your gargoyle. It's like red and white, just like your gargs. It's like a high quality.
Right, yeah.
It's one of the nicest ones I've seen. It almost reminds me of like the American flag. It just needs a little bit of, it almost like it's so just red and white.
Oh, blue.
Yeah.
It's just missing a little bit of blue. You just need a little bit of blue. I don't know how that's going to happen, but it's still really, this is like the most insane, like looking thing. That's really beautiful.
Yeah, I knew from the second that litter was born. I remember like taking the bin of babies today, and I'm like, this is the most incredible group of babies we've ever produced. And I didn't know it was gonna turn out like that, but I knew it was just so much red already from the moment it was born. And I ended up keeping about like 6 of those babies, which I never do, right?
Yeah.
I have we have too many animals. But I kept 6 of those, and 2 of them are very, very nice red. Like Sosa's the best one in my opinion. There's another one that's more red, just not as much red throughout the body. And then there's some that are more like orange, Halloween like looking. And so I'm very, very excited to keep progressing those lines.
That's
very cool.
When Don Patterson was posting pictures of that Swedish stuff back in the day, like I procrastinated, and then I couldn't get them in the country anymore. So I'm glad you're working with them. When you do start selling that kind of stuff, call everybody else first, because I know there's people in line. But eventually, let me know if there's something for me.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's funny. Don actually got me, like, he's the first one I ever saw post Swedish line animals or Swedish blue tongues. And I'm like, dude, what is this? Like, I need some of this stuff. And we actually got our original ones from the UK. Right before the ban happened, I got a couple animals. And I think, was it
ironically, we got them from the same people that produced the Lily White when we first brought in. Well, it might have been after the Lily Whites, but the same people that produced the Lily Whites. They were one of the bigger reptile breeders in the UK.
So yeah, so they have like a really awesome collection. I mean, that's what it happens like sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, it's like you guys have great racks and great skinks. So, it's like, it's pretty interesting though, because like that somebody in the UK, they're also doing really high quality, awesome skinks as well as rack and backless too. But yeah, sometimes there's like that crossover, it's like, I don't have a lot of them, but I really like blood pythons. So, it's like hognose, blood pythons, short, stocky, cool looking snakes.
Yeah.
Now, did you guys talk about the albino crested yet?
We dabbled in it a little bit. We didn't go super hard with it. You want to talk about it a little bit?
I guess. It's very cool. Now, the one thing is, I'd say, here's the one thing, and I see it with a lot of mutations, and it happens with like, unless the mutation is like absolutely floored, like the most insane looking, usually there's always somebody kind of like, oh, this is underwhelming or not really impressed. And generally these people, I'd say for the most part, are generally wrong because they're looking at things kind of just like one-dimensionally. Because when I first seen the albino crested, I'm like, well, it doesn't look like ultra like crazy looking, but that doesn't mean when you put it in these really high red ones, you're going to get some smoke and stuff, or these high red ones that tend to have like some melanin content to them. Then you got albino taking out that melanin. You might have this like bright cherry red orange crested. So that's what I'm kind of like thinking.
Dave,
my initial thought.
Yeah, no, Dave blew my mind earlier because he told me like, he's like, has anybody like even thought about putting like Dalmatians to the albinos? And I'm like, oh shit,
okay.
that didn't even cross my mind. Because if you think about it, I'm like, imagine like a crazy super Dalmatian, but albino, like what is that going to do to the spots? Is it going to make them white or what? I don't know. So
right, yeah,
like you said, it's early, man. It's early.
I'm also like a big fan of like the dark stuff with albinos, like in red-tailed boas when you mix IMGs with albinos. So like a charcoal type of crested gecko that's like really, really dark, not necessarily axanthic. I think that could be cool too with the albino.
Yeah. Or the lava blue tongue skinks.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have axanthics too, so you can make snow crested geckos.
Yeah.
And everybody like everything snow is awesome.
Yeah. No, so you mentioned that other project that's overseas, that recessive that gives the undertone or red pigment. same thing like with boas. You took the blood bow into the albino to make that very unique red pigment.
Yeah.
So that might be a good double het route eventually.
Yeah, that's a good point.
We can stop talking about this for
Yeah.
saying too much. We can do this after the show. I don't know. You can tell me to stop.
Right.
Well,
It's like,
I think that stuff though is great though because that really adds a lot of projects and longevity to the hobby as far as breeding goes. It's like, okay, you got a lot of stuff to do, especially with the recessive. It's like that's going to like carry on for a long time. Like I was actually like pretty impressed with the way Axanthic Crested's held up. Like, because I heard all the prices coming down and I see them, I was like, oh, actually really nice, pretty like Axanthic Lily Whites and just nice Axanthic Crested still go for a pretty good amount of money. I'm like, oh, that's still good money. I was like, those are definitely worth investing in. If you even bought at the top, as long as you're doing cool projects with them, I'm like, I think you're fine. I was like, wow, those are still holding up pretty good, and they actually look really nice too. I'm a big fan of Axanthics. I mean, most people are. So,
yeah. No, I think one thing. Sorry, real quick. One thing that the Crested community is like really good at is selectively breeding, and that's always been king, and even today it's still king. Like if you get a gene, and then the gene on its own might not be impressive, but when you selectively breed it and like really refine it and line breed or whatever you want to do, you can make that look like insane. And there's just like literally no like end to what you could do with them. And I think that's what is something that maybe I'm wrong, but I think like the ball python community is not as focused on that. They're more focused on like stacking all the recessive genes. Whereas in like the crested gecko world, a lot of people are refining like what we have and trying to make like the best possible pinstripes or white pattern animals or sables or whatever, and not as much as stacking it right now,
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense, and that's exactly like, that's how. I mean, I think you're, of course, dead on. I mean, you're the pro at this, so you guys both know. You guys, that's 100% true.
So, we're gonna bounce back and forth, but so on the skink front, man, Heather's starting to get babies. You guys just got that litter today. Was that the first of what you hope to be many this year? How's your group looking?
Pretty good right now. I think we're up to like 75 babies, and it's just getting started. I'm hoping to produce like close to 200, if not more, this year. So yeah, I got a lot of stuff, a lot of gravity girls. Nothing too crazy right now. I'm still waiting on some special projects to hopefully pop. But you know who's the mom that made Sosa? She looks like she's about to pop any day. So I'm really excited for that one, and I put her to an even better male this year. Really so cool, we might get some even better babies this year.
Yeah, we had a really cold winter, so everything got delayed.
Yeah, but you guys had a really cold winter last year, and I heard the same story last year. Like, I think that's just the new norm, buddy.
No, look, I've never seen sheets of ice. There's water on top of some of the skink cages, and the next morning I went outside with my temperature gun. I temp gunned the ground. It was 11 degrees.
Oh, wow.
I didn't believe it. I thought the temp gun was broken. I went inside, grabbed another temp gun, did both. They were 11 degrees.
I'm confused. I thought you lived in Florida.
I do live in Florida. The grass was 11 degrees. The air temp was like 25 degrees or something. Obviously, the grass was wet and cold and stuff, but I just couldn't. I've lived in Florida a long time. I've never seen anything like that. Sheets of ice. Like, I never seen anything like that. All my fruit trees died. I have to plant new trees everywhere. It was crazy.
Sorry to hear that. You guys got hit by the hurricane last year a little bit too. Like, not too bad. A little damage in the yard. Or how bad was that in the end?
Yeah, a little bit more than a little damage. Yeah. No, yeah, we didn't get hit by the hurricane, but the hurricane spun off tornadoes, and we got hit by a tornado. I think that was 2 years or a year and a half. No, yeah, 2 years ago now. It's crazy how time flies, but we got hit by a tornado.
I remember hitting you guys up. I think I was offering up caging or some shit like that because I was in the transition of moving myself. But I'm glad everything's okay. Sucks when shit goes wrong.
Yeah, it is what it's life.
Yeah, and after that, like, so there used to be like 100-foot like Australian pine trees like covering the whole back area. When those came down, like now there's like more blue tongue pine. It's like better now. We built off that destruction and made things even better.
Cool. So between your guys' ice storms, tornadoes, and hurricanes, Florida sounds like a really shitty place to live nowadays.
Yeah, it's great. Florida's still the best.
Yeah, debatable. I haven't had to deal with much of that this year. I got ice, but I'm in the Midwest, buddy.
I don't know. Here's the thing. You got to hear Dave's tick stories. How this guy's going to die.
Oh.
I don't even understand how he has that many ticks. There's so many ticks in Missouri. Like, I was, like, looking forward to going in and hanging out with Dave. I was like, I don't know if I want to go there anymore after the tick stories. He goes, there's not one day where he doesn't get a tick on him. I'm like, that sounds – I mean, I guess we're there for two – yeah. Just cover myself in for me
that,
when
bro.
I go there.
Yeah.
You guys don't have ticks in Florida? You guys have ticks in Florida.
We do.
Bro. Okay,
not
hold
as
on.
much
We
as
have
you, though.
not as much as you, but we have like obviously like snake ticks and stuff that I'll see on the animals outside that we got to pick off. But I've never seen a Lone Star tick in Florida ever. Never seen one ever. This year I caught one on me and I flicked it off me and I fucking killed it. But the ticks are crazy this year, bro.
Yeah, they've been a real nightmare.
Ticks are fucking crazy.
So I'm guessing you guys don't watch the news. I heard Bill Gates is raining them down from helicopters.
Yeah, I know. Trust me, I know about that.
Yeah, watch out if you're in your yard and you see some guy that's like skinny with glasses.
Dumping
Just with
that's him.
and a big ass beard.
Yup, dumping ticks on in the areas.
So
single-handedly fucking with us.
Up until last year, I never had a tick in the beard. I finally got a tick in the beard. I just thought they weren't going to go above the neck. They finally did. Don't even know how many days he was there for. And I have a local guy that I buy mice from, and he was sick for like 4 years. They couldn't figure out what it was. And it was that disease you get from ticks that makes you like allergic to meat.
The alpha gal.
It was right down the road
God.
me,
Bro,
that's terrible.
No, that is literally the worst thing that could happen to me, bro. I cannot. I'm just so fucking pissed, dude. I don't know if it's Bill Gates or what, but I'm just pissed at Bill Gates because I don't know. It like all the stuff I see in my algorithm lately is like the ticks, this and that, and then they're trying to come out with a new vaccine for the ticks or for the alpha gal syndrome, and I'm like, fuck, man. They're trying to get us, man. They're trying to get us.
That's a common thing in Missouri is that alpha whatever shit, man. And like they show like a map on like
alpha
the Missouri
gal,
pages where it's at. And you just see targets everywhere. Like the shit's just littered all over the state. But I'm gonna tell you, man, I'm the goat. And I don't mean of like podcasting. I mean I can eat anything and not throw up, and I can get bit by hundreds of ticks a year. Unfazed, buddy. I'm never going down. Unbeatable.
God bless. I hope so.
What do you drink? Like ivermectin every day?
No. They stopped selling it.
Ivermectin in your bloodstream or something?
Bill Gates again, buddy.
Yeah.
You're friends with Bill Gates?
No. We lost ivermectin because of Bill Gates. I used to be able to pick that up at the hardware store.
Yeah, you still can. I still can. I get ivermectin. It actually works really good for killing like drain flies and like mites ever too. Like I didn't know that until I was like, oh, that makes sense. Like it's very safe. But I like the ivermectin. The funny thing is, just to get you guys some information about up in Ohio too, the ticks are crazy up in Ohio too, which is insane because when I was a kid, I'd go in the woods all the time. I'd never get a tick on me. And then when I was like 19 or 20, like I got like a couple ticks on me one time in this one spot where I'd find box turtles. I'm like, man, I never got ticks on me here ever. And then ever since then, like the last like 10, 15 years, they're like everywhere. They're crazy now.
I've had a tick in every spot you wouldn't want to have a tick.
Oh, you told me.
I've had a tick there for a day, and how I didn't notice, I don't know. It's you know what the worst part is, because there's a lot of worse parts. First off, the herping season's rough here. I invite you guys out every year, but like at the end of the day, if you don't shower, you wake up the next day and you got like 10 or 15 Lone
Oh.
Stars in your body somewhere.
Oh,
And you're picking them
Oh
off.
my God, bro.
And
I'm
then,
not
like,
going herping over there. I'm sorry.
Dude,
yeah, me neither.
I've walked through leaf litter and I've looked down and there's been hundreds of Lone Star ticks just in the leaf litter.
Bro, it's probably the beard dragging through the ground that's picking up all these ticks.
Oh,
Yeah, it's like an opossum. You ever see how opossum's like a big, like Brillo-y, like, you know, animal, and it wobbles around and it picks up ticks? That's what Dave's doing.
we're gonna keep talking about this. I've got a picture in here. I discovered a new type of tick one year. So we get done hiking for like 12 hours and I roll my sock down. It looks like my ankle's covered in dust. It was like 100 to 200 ticks on both my ankles, in me, and my entire ass. So I had to like cover my body in hand sanitizer and got a credit card and just started getting them off. But I got after pictures, man, bumped out completely, man. It's horrible. Yeah. But you guys
And
keep
still
talking.
eating red meat.
Yeah. It's like Dave's like, you want to come out here and herp to find a speckled king snake and potentially contract life-changing, debilitating disease in the process?
Like, no, thank you.
Yeah, Jeff, if you come out, you're guaranteed to get sick. Like, I know it for a fact. If you came out, you're going to go home with that.
Well, I would just cover myself in permethrin, dude. I'd be so permethrined up, I'd probably get sick from the permethrin. I'm just going to use it like perfume. It'll be all over me. I do 100%. Then I'd probably have a little swatch, like a little flask of ivermectin. Swig that every now and then. Spray it
Just
all over me.
Bro, yeah, just inject it in your veins at that point.
Yes. I like you thinking. I'm going to do that one.
I wrapped like the inside of my thighs around my knee and my ankle, like 2-sided tape this year to try to catch them before they got up there. I did some 2-sided tape around my waist. And let me tell you, son, after hours of herping, I'm a hairy man. That 2-sided tape grabbed a hold of everything, and it's going with it when it's over.
That's the worst.
Yeah. So talking permethrin, buddy, I don't know if it's that much of a deterrent for these guys. Like, you can
Have you
try
tried it?
They're genetically engineered to just get over it. It doesn't matter anymore.
Did Gates do that one too?
They're working on it at Plum Island.
Yeah. He thought of everything. This guy sucks.
So another thing too, like the permethrin we're getting in from like China, I hear doesn't hit like it used to either, man. Like, I've heard like the Prevenamite doesn't kill mites like it used to. That shit you got from Walmart isn't killing mites like it used to. I don't think we could buy F10 anymore. But segue back into ivermectin. I hear a lot of ball python guys are using ivermectin to kill their mites, and I never heard about that till about a year ago.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I heard about it first years ago from a guy, Jason Wagner, because like a lot of times like the Abronia, they would have it when they would come in or whatnot.
Yeah,
and it's not an animal you can keep dry or anything like that. So I saw he posted a whole video how he uses it and then puts it in a spray bottle, and it works very well.
All right,
they're good.
And some people even inject it in the rats and give it to the snakes.
Like if you're doing a snake, you just inject it in the rodent. Boom.
Yeah, because if the animal is consuming ivermectin, it's like in their bloodstream, and if the mites feed on them, they die.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's impressive. That's good.
No,
so start drinking ivermectin.
Safe too.
Yeah.
Well, I don't. I would anyways. I'll be honest, man. I watch a lot of third world country shit, and like, I got worms in me for sure. I don't know which ones, but I know they're in there. I mean,
just panic yourself, bro.
What was that?
Yeah.
Just take a freaking teaspoon of Panicure a night.
Teaspoon of Panicure. I was gonna do like a fast, and then I was gonna treat for them, like double whammy, give them nothing to feed on, and then treat for them.
Yeah.
I'm afraid of what's gonna come out of me.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, just don't look at the toilet, after. Just flush immediately.
Yeah. I'm okay with that, but what if I'm assuming something's coming out, right? Like I don't have to look. I know something's coming out.
Why are you so certain you're infested with worms? What are you doing?
Well, you know what? I remember watching Snake Bites back in the day where Brian would talk about how eventually you stop wearing rubber gloves, you just bare hand shits.
Mm-hmm.
That's mainly what I do all day. And I do probably wash up a little bit in between, but I touch my face a lot like most normal people. So it'd probably start there. And then about everything else I do, you've seen the hotel rooms I stay in. Dude,
Yes.
I don't know if I can say this. I might probably say it, but I'm going to send you the video afterwards. Actual ejaculate on the headboard.
Yeah, Dave told me about that story already. I wasn't a fan of the story. It's a skip.
Yeah, and I got lucky because I had a UV light in my car because I've been curing fishing lures. So I was able to actually blacklight it. And it was big, man. It was a lot. Yeah,
Dave told me the story. I was gonna, you're going to skip the story. I don't like the story at all.
Well, the story starts like every other story. It was a $40
Jeff's not sleeping tonight.
I'm in a hotel.
Yeah. That place is classy. No one's ever done anything like that on the walls at a Tinley.
Okay. Sure. We're actually not at that hotel. We had to stay a little further out because I booked my hotel room late.
Okay. Right. So now that we're talking bugs, I think we're talking
might want to get your black light out.
Yeah.
Or don't. Just
You should.
Ignorance is bliss.
I like that. So has there been like, do Ractodactylus guys have to worry about any like bugs? Like, is that species affected by like the common mite?
Like mites?
Yeah.
No, the geckos get red. They can get red mites, but usually you see those on like wild caught, like flying geckos or Europlatis. But unless you're keeping that stuff like, on top of your New Caledonian stuff, I've never had a mite on a single New Caledonian gecko. It's not common at all. I don't even know. I know that I've seen pictures of like those red mites on like garbo geckos or something, or like lychees, but you don't really, since they're all captive bred, you don't really see it.
Okay.
Yeah, I seen one time, the one you're talking about, because we got some import. My dad and I like long time ago, the Ligodactylius williamsi, the little like electric blue day geckos. They came in with those, and I was so freaked out. I'm like, oh my god! I was like, what if they can go on fucking leopard geckos and fat tails too? Because we, at the time we had like about like 2,500 of those. I'm like, that's gonna. And they didn't, luckily. No. So, but I was like, I was freaked out for about like a month at least.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but the New Cal stuff is pretty clean, honestly.
Right. So let's bring it back to skinks for a minute. I feel like we're always all over the place. So the skink market, man. Sales have been going really well so far this year. Show presence has been nice. I'm one of the few guys that'll typically have them out. I had one show I got shut out and didn't sell a single one, but it was a bad show, so I can't really blame it on the species.
That was very bad.
You did pretty good last year. You felt like the last couple of years in that market, it's been picking up. I don't know what the mutations are going to do yet. Like, I don't know if the market's ready for like a ton of mutations.
I don't. So for the pet stuff, that stuff sells very well. Like pet price, like $200 to $300 is like actually like a really good sweet spot. We sold the crap out of them last year at shows too. They do very well. So that market is very strong. When you start getting above like $500 is when you I notice like it struggles a little bit. And to your point, I don't know, because there's not that many people selling albinos and hets and all of that stuff. I don't think they're moving that much. So to me, it might mean that it needs a little bit of a price correction. But I also think when all these mutations start coming out, start becoming more available, and the prices do drop a bit, it's gonna get a bunch of people excited and might improve the market as well.
I always talk about ball python money in these markets. I know the Crested Gecko market got to experience some ball python money. It's a good smile, man. It's good money. Don't be ashamed of yourself. But I have been having more people in the ball python market ask me about blue tongue skinks. So, I'm wondering, again, it's an animal that can be kept in a CB70. You can get away with no light requirements, but we do know it does benefit the animal if you have them. But we know we could do it otherwise. So, if there is more mutations available, again, with Phenome, with their shed test, I think that's going to go a long way to that market this year. I think if these other communities start buying into the species, I think they're going to flourish. I think the only problem I say with, the blue tongue market is there's none of us anymore. There's like 10 of us maybe, and I'm poor. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to afford one yet.
Yeah,
How much does
how
much does an albino go for, real quick? I'm just curious. Like,
right now, like they're publicly available for 5.5K.
okay, they're still up there.
Yeah, it's still. I still think that might be a little bit overpriced. Well, not necessarily overpriced. I just don't think the market is there for that. Right now.
Well, the weird thing about that is, though, the last 15 years, it was $10,000 or bust. You couldn't buy one. And, man, we fought over the idea of spending $10,000, and now we got them, and 5 seems like a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just think a lot of
that's
people
a
got
good
burned
price.
with those animals. Like they spent 10 grand on this, on something that never produced a single baby for them or didn't do well. Who knows where a lot of those old, like back in the day, those visuals were coming from. A lot of people were selling them as sex, so they were popping them. So it's like I think a lot of people got burned with that, and that's why they're a little bit more hesitant right now. Even at 5, what they are at right now. But I think the more success, Heather, Ron, and other people start having with them and mixing it with other mutations, like, for example, I would love to mix that with, the red stuff I've been working with. I think that's just going to attract more people into the blue tongues.
I agree with that. And so I haven't got a chance to ask Heather personally, but she did the ivory cross to the patternless the other day, and she made that one. She wasn't sure if that was a double visual. If that's the double visual, I like it a lot.
Yeah, no, I saw that. It looks like, my guess would be it is, just because it is so different from the others. But again, we don't really know. I really think it is, and it's really, really neat. It looks really cool. I don't know if you have the photo of it, but it's a really cool animal. There's a lot of potential with them, Ren. Right now, it's like fresh. There's a lot of mutations just coming out. A lot of now you're being more successful with it. Like it's gonna be, I think, a really, really good next few years for the blue tongue market. It's gonna be really exciting. I'm excited.
Where did
I'm ready.
Heather share that?
Oh, I got it already.
Yeah, look at that.
Sorry,
that's interesting.
I'm moving a lot. So when she told me about the double hips originally. I had thought, with those strong, black stripes on the side, maybe that would fight through, maybe create a different color along the way. I didn't think it would be true black still. And the fact there's still pattern on the back, I never would have guessed that. Again, I don't want to sound negative. I wouldn't have personally done that pairing, and I would have missed out on making a really nice animal. That's the closest we can get to a pied side project if that runs true every single time.
Right, but that's the good thing, I think, when more people start getting their hands on these animals, is they're going to take those projects in different directions, just like what David was talking about the Crested Geckos earlier.
Yeah,
and that's going to be, there's some stuff that you don't think the ivory with the toffee will make something cool, but then somebody else does it, and it comes out to end up being a really cool animal. So that's one thing I'm really excited about as well, what other people are going to do with these projects.
No, 100%. And I've said, for me, when I look at what's out there on the market right now, of course, the albino and the patternless are probably the two most tempting. I think that's what I can incorporate into my collection. I could put every shade of lime bred animal into that and do something unique. And I do see potential in the other ones, but those are probably the first two I go after. I think the only reason I haven't spent money on them is because I own those animals already. I just can't get them to produce successfully. So I'm kind of hesitant, and we'll see. But, having the patternless project around for over a decade and letting it go stagnant from all the shit I took in the industry, I wish I had a fuck you attitude back then. I would have bred into everything. And when I finally got around to doing that, I bred the male 4 females. I got no litter, and then he died after that season for no reason. So, patternless project was hard on me.
Yeah, hopefully, I didn't have luck this year.
I still remember.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, I was just going to say, I still remember, I think it was the first Tinley we went to that we saw that patternless animal, right, Manny? We turned right or something, and wasn't it by Jeff? Weren't you guys close to each other?
We saw.
Those were my animals on Jeff's table.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah. As soon as you walk in, you're like, oh.
Yeah. I still remember that to this day. That's
10,
funny.
11 years ago. That was a long time ago. It's been about 9, 10, 11 years ago.
Yeah, no, we literally have talked about it, but Jeff, I think you're the motherfucker that set that up. You're the one who put me on that project.
No.
Yes.
Who the fuck did I know with patternless skinks?
A guy from Europe.
Oh yeah, you wanted them, and I was dealing with a decent amount of European people, so I helped connect you. It was the one guy. He was a really nice dude. I can't remember his name now. I'd have to. Man, it was so long ago, and he was he kept like really interesting species. He kept a lot of lizard and gecko species, but just a few here and there.
He
and then Dave,
passed away a couple years or a few years after that.
Dave gave him like a decent amount of money.
It's like $9,500.
Yeah, then the guy passed away, and Dave's like, "Oh man," I'm like, dude, I was like, you can't ask for the money. I was like, unfortunately, it's gone.
No, that's two different stories. We bought the patternless from him
first. That guy wasn't the guy with the patternless skinks, though.
That wasn't?
No, the guy that passed away. He had like pink tongues, I think, that you were getting.
Man, it's so long ago. I don't know.
He wasn't the one with the patternless skinks, though. But the guy with the patternless skinks, you needed some help, and I lined it up, but I wasn't like, you're the one that asked.
Maybe. Shit, I don't remember anything anymore. But,
Dave had a bad experience with the project. He's trying to find a way to blame me for it.
No, I don't blame you. I just thought maybe if I could rope you into this. Like, I thought it was something like you were at Ham and you let me know about those animals over there or some shit.
No, I wasn't at that Ham show, but I know you were asking about it, and I asked some friends over there to kind of like,
Hey, can I pause you for a second?
Yes.
This turned out to be like an awful story. I think we should just move on from this.
Yeah, it's not a good story.
Yeah, but no, literally, guys, I had that thing for a decade plus, and I never produced a baby. I just kept breeding the male back to the females, and nothing would ever happen. And I wasn't willing to breed them out because, again, the community had a show.
People get mad.
So, yeah.
Especially back then. Back then, it was really toxic. And I think that's the reason why a lot of people who were initially wanting to breed blue tongues got out, because it was a really, really toxic community.
It was a savage ass group of people, man. I had so much stuff going on in life. Like, I never really was able to put my full attention to it. But man, that Cheryl really did not like any of that. Like, that really took a toll on her, man. Like, she took a lot of that to heart. Like, I wanted to fight back. A lot of times she told me just to like
I remember
my tongue. And I did, and it didn't really change anything. Doesn't really matter now. They're all gone. But,
that's what I was about to say. I remember I took a lot of shit because one of my buddies, he owned a reptile store in Miami, and he was like very much of a purist. And somebody had brought in some like hybrids that they produced on accident, just some pets. And he's like asked if I could just sell it for him. I was like, sure. So I posted them, but I said very clearly what they were, and like they were screenshotting it. They actually got banned from like two of the big groups.
I remember that.
Yeah, and all those guys are talking shit. None of them are. I don't think any of them breed blue tongues anymore.
No, I think they all kind of slowly exited. I think all the Facebook pages got taken down because I think the conversations got so nasty on there.
Yeah.
There was a complete reset because I believe that one skink group was up to like 10, 20, 30,000 followers at one point.
It was the biggest. Yeah. I think it was like, I don't remember the name, but yeah, there's three big ones. Two of them, when Facebook was cracking down on sales of animals, that's when they got deleted. But it's funny enough, the one that stuck around was actually the one I didn't get banned from.
Man.
That was like the one like Debbie created.
When I started doing the podcast with Alex, there was this really awkward episode where he's all like, well, here, let me just share this with you. And he keeps trying to share me something, and like, we're live on the podcast. I was like, it just says unavailable. And he's like, oh, they have you blocked on here. And I was like, oh, that's cool. It's really funny because, I tell people from other communities about the skink community, about how I got banned and all that. And like all the other people I know are like, how is that even possible? But, man, it was just funny times back then. It was very unique times.
I remember hearing about it. Like, I wasn't even, keeping skinks, and I'd hear about the stuff they'd say with Dave and other people. These people, and it makes sense that people like that are no longer in it. And then also, generally the people that sometimes have a lot of time to run these groups and to dictate and pick apart everything, they're not the most, reliable, actually even source. They just want to, dictate stuff. Like, I had this one person. This is a pretty funny story, a little similar. I loved it. The lady was so irritated, but I think she finally got a laugh out of it. She bought a Black Knight leopard gecko from me, posted it in a moderate-sized leopard gecko group. She got banned for posting an African fat-tail gecko, and she tried to explain to him that it was she even came back to me. She goes, "This is a leopard gecko, right?" I'm like, yeah, why? It's 100, yeah. And then she goes, "Yeah, I got banned from this group." And she showed me all the screenshots. Yeah, she got banned for trying, and she showed me the screenshots of her arguing with the lady running the group too. And it was a Black Knight leopard gecko.
Oh my god.
Yeah, those like, dude, I'll tell you one story. There was this kid. I'm not gonna say his name, but there's this kid who was big in that group, and he actually was the only one that told me basically that I'm getting banned. He was, and we had a little bit of a conversation, but basically, I remember later I sold an animal to a guy, right? And he was asking me for a refund. I was like, I don't do refunds, but why? He got animals from that kid because he was selling his collection. Ended up having crypto, and that ended up killing he had a small collection. The guy, the customer, but like he's like, hey man, I don't even want to do this anymore. And they got it like sent like the University of Miami like test, so it was like confirmed. And this dude was like out here selling sick animals. He was like, all right, brother.
Yeah.
You know?
Same guy.
I sell hybrids. You sell crypto animals.
Yeah.
The hybrid sounds far better.
Yeah, the same deal. Dude hit me up when I was being told I was done. The old, what was it? The recommended breeders list, the PDF file.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah. He literally he gave me the call. He's like, "Hey man, we're gonna have to take you off the recommended breeders list." And I'm like, "What are we talking about?" He's like, "Well, you have those patternless projects, so your shit's not pure anymore." And I was like, "Well, fuck." But then and I kind of feel dumb about it, but I'm a little catty sometimes, and I'm not gonna pretend like I was always a saint in those groups either. I had a very strong opinion about some shit, and when things got a little savage, I pushed back a little bit here and there. So I was an asshole from time to time. But when that guy went out of business, or when that guy sold his collection, the same guy you're talking about, I sent him a message. I said, "We're gonna have to take you off the recommended breeders."
That's nice.
You've been waiting for that one.
I was waiting years, but that was just that, and there was a little LOL afterwards and all. But I don't know.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's so good, dude.
That's really good.
Oh.
That's fucking funny.
That's fucking hilarious.
It's like an HOA. There's like fucking
Yeah.
For
HOA.
real.
They call it an SOA, Skink Owner Association.
Yeah, it's like
Fucking-
power tripping. It's like, bro, it's
It
a
is.
Facebook group. Like, what? Come on, man.
Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah, that's how toxic it was. And then if somebody posted, like a new person posted, like, look, I got this animal from, let's say me, and I wasn't on the recommended breeders list anymore. They ruined them, destroyed, talk so much shit to them. It's like,
And you fucking idiot.
yeah, out here. Oh my god.
I've never.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's happened in other parts of the hobby, but I think that group was something special.
Leopard geckos.
I don't know if there's ever been anything like that before. I don't know if there'll be something like that after. Like that 3 or 4 years in that skink community, you know what it was? It was like fast money. It was like, when ball pythons first took off and all those guys are really excelling, but we weren't making thousands of dollars. We were making thousands, but we were making hundreds of thousands like those guys. But you gave all these nerdy motherfuckers power and a little bit of money, and man, they just became like bullies they had experienced in high school. You know what I mean? Like it was like role reversal. They couldn't just do some cocaine like the rest of the hobby when they made money. They had to go on these power trips.
It's like that study, and remember they took those college students and they made some of them like prison guards, and other ones were like prisoners, and they showed what the power did to them. It's like that, but with skinks. They're like, wow,
and they're
I
like
have a nice pure skink, and I can bash other people if we make up this whole criteria where it's not good to have ones that aren't pure. And then here's the thing, though, aren't all the pretty much the northern blue tongues none of them are actually 100% pure, which I don't think there's a problem with that. But is there any that are actually pure?
Yeah, actually, Dave was like the first one to kind of put me on that idea, because like I mean, he's been around a lot longer with them than I have, and like right, they used to like call them just blue tongues. Like it wasn't like northerns, it wasn't Erin Giles.
There were, yeah, like there was a very common thing when you see them at the shows. It would just be a general blue tongue on a lot of people's tables. But, we're also talking like 15, 20 years ago. There were some people that would mark them, but like, I think one thing that I used to bring up just, history, and, I know Alex is listening right now and he's looked into it more, but Andrew Tiki and the Sunset Project. Now, I think Alex went back and pulled screenshots from the website that doesn't exist. But I thought the founding animal was something that he discovered at a show. But, I don't know the whole lineage on that. And I've always said, to get color into the Northerns, some of the really colorful IJ stuff, you could drag that color out and within a couple generations have a very Northern blue tongue look. And there were some crosses done back then. I know that was going on in the community, but there were also the purists going on all at the same time. So that was kind of like one of those things at the time, like I put into some question. Even some animals I had received from big breeders around that time, I was getting a lot of webbing in the arms. So like it had that, like, it looked like it was already a hybrid. I don't know for sure, but I always wonder because you don't really see Northerns in Australia like we see them over here with the reds and the oranges.
Right.
But, the Australians argue they don't really do a lot of line breeding there because they have mutations to play with. So they might not have any reason to take a Northern as far as we take a Northern here with line breeding.
I'm sure their locales look very different too. I mean, that's the cool thing about the skinks is there's a lot of variability with them, which you can, capitalize on like you guys are doing with selective line breeding. So you make these really high, crazy red ones. You can make, really light ones, orangey ones. I'm sure you can make really, really hyper-melanistic ones too. And then you can change their pattern too. That's the funny thing is like I think some people with the purist stuff like they take things a little too seriously in regards of like what we're actually doing. It's like if you are presenting everything you're doing, whether it's like I don't understand how there could be any negative connotation when you are being truthful with you're putting out there. So it's funny that I see, with people that like go ham about hybrid stuff, like true, like actual intentional hybrid stuff. I mean, it's like, hey, it's like there's nothing wrong here. Actually, you can learn things from it. I mean, the python hybrids are insane. I think 20 years ago, if you told people you could breed a Woma python to a ball python, they'd be like, shut up. They're like, no, you can't. So there is actually some like, knowledge gained there, which is pretty interesting to see that some of these, hybrids are, obtainable. But, I think a lot of the stuff that you can do with, crossing, subspecies and stuff, I don't see any problem with that, especially subspecies crosses. It's not like an actual, like direct, like, hybrid.
Well, especially when it's stuff for the pet trade that it's intended to be a good pet. So like if the animal's healthy and it's more colorful or whatever the pet trade is asking for, then I don't see the issue. Of course, there's always going to be the purist. So you want to have, like if for me, for example, that I'm a breeder, like I want to have my Leachianis that are locale specific, but I also mix locales to make the brightest pinks and brightest, purples. So I think there's room for both.
Exactly.
It's
like,
kind of silly to pretend like we're gonna.
Well, I don't see a problem with purists. Purists are great, but I don't see like the other thing on the same token, like you said, the other side I think is equally as great, and there's a lot of like, a lot more you can do, which is a lot more like there's a lot more creativity with this selective line breeding and even mixing locales and stuff like that. And then it also a lot of times strengthens the animals, because sometimes pure stuff can get too inbred too if there's not enough diversification.
Yeah. So Ractodactylus community, I saw the Chihuahua Crested Gecko at White Plains like in the mid 2000s, bright animal, like no crest, look kind of weird. What's going on with that? Those have been around for a long time. Is there anybody that actually specializes in that?
I wouldn't say specializes. I know there was like a couple people, maybe like a handful of breeders that would produce them consistently. and they always look the same. They're really cool. I think they're always going to be a popular gecko because it's very different. But you know what's interesting? Talking about hybrids, I had a one of those Chihuahua crested gecko hybrids that I thought was like sterile. So I had a big display enclosure, and I had them in there with a female lily white crested gecko. And one day I'm like, I think I was like doing something around there, and I see a baby in the enclosure, and I'm like, no way. It was a virgin female, like one I raised up. So I'm like, no way. I look at it, and it's literally, you wouldn't be able to distinguish it from a regular crested gecko. I'm like, maybe it was parthenogenesis or something. I'm like, it can't be like, maybe it was just like a one-off. Then I don't know, a month later or whatever, I'm looking through the enclosure and I find more eggs. Anyways, three or four total ended up hatching, and they all look like crested geckos. Like if I showed you guys, you'd not be able to tell it's a different, or it's a 25% Chihuahua crested gecko hybrid. Obviously I still have all those geckos. I wouldn't sell them or anything, but that made me understand. I'm like, okay, well, that's probably why somebody would get mad at people breeding hybrids, because if somebody does that and like isn't honest about it and starts selling them, then that could be an issue. But what I always tell people is like, there's no incentive to do that. Like, you're not going to breed a Chihuahua, which is a higher dollar animal, to a crested gecko that's a lower dollar animal, to produce a hybrid, to then breed that to another crested gecko to produce basically what you could produce with like two regular crested geckos. Does that make sense? Like, why would you go through this whole process to produce normal looking crested geckos? So anyways, but yeah, I thought that was interesting. Yeah.
So in the colubrid market, sometimes different things are crossed to pull the mutation from one species and put in another. What if you pulled all the crested gecko mutations and put them into the Chihuahuas and then bred the Chihuahuas back a bunch of times to where they're a high percentage bloodline of Chihuahua?
Lily white Chihuahuas.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
That's one of those things that we're going to keep under wraps. And then in a couple of years, you'll see us come out with new Morphs. We'll have the first albino Chihuahuas, sable Chihuahuas, lily white Chihuahuas,
do the super fire Chihuahuas.
Super fire Chihuahuas. Yeah. So I'm not saying you should, but you're like, why would you do a thing like that? And that's kind of why you would do a thing like that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, I get that. And Jeff, isn't that what kind of happened with like leopard geckos? Like people bringing the Afghan leopard geckos and all the other stuff to like the regular macularis?
Well, people did like, fasciolatus and then, the Montanus.
Fasciolatus.
So like, they mainly just line bred those and made like real light ones. And they could like, some of those were like line bred snows initially, I believe, because like the first imports are all coming from Pakistan and they were like, different locales. Now I tried to hybridize Hardwicky with, bold stripe, just Macularius, and I couldn't get any fertile eggs. I tried to hybridize, the Angramanu to Eublepharis, like Turkmenicus locale ones, and no good eggs there either. So I was pretty unsuccessful with the hybrids. Now hybrids where they hid them and then would pass them off as non-hybrids, that's the corn snake community. The corn snake community, I think they've done that like 2 or 3 times. The Tessera corn snake, like my dad got Tessera corns when they were new, and there was talks that maybe they're hybrids, and my dad raised his first female up pretty quick, and we had like a shared snake room. Like I had my hoggo side and he had his corn snake side, and so we look at our projects every now and then. He'd be like, look what I'm doing and whatnot. And one day he is like, look how big my Tessera corn is, and he proudly picked it up. I'm like, dude, I was like, that thing's not even fucking shaped like a corn snake. It's like all short. And he goes, yeah, he goes, I know. He goes, and then he bred it, and it didn't even lay a fucking corn snake clutch. It laid like these 10 bigger eggs. It looks like a fucking king snake clutch. And then, but now, here's the thing, they're so high percent corn snake, and now they actually do look more like corns. I'm like pretty like, confident like that was a hybrid, especially looking at his initial ones. And then the Ultramel was supposed to be like part rat snake, and then there was rumors about.
Is Candy Cane on the list?
No, Candy Cane. I think that's because the creamsicle, because the creamsicle was an emery rat albino corn, and they never really tried to hide that one. Because I remember reading old Reptiles magazines, like in the late '90s, like creamsicle corn snake. And a creamsicle was just an albino emery rat hybrid, but they would classify it as that. But yeah, the Candy Cane. No, I think what you're thinking of, Dave, is the Ultramel. The Ultramel was supposed to have rat snake in it. My dad had an Ultramel, and it was like a pretty big corn, but that's the thing too. These things keep getting bred back to corns. Eventually, they are like 99.9% corn, and like, in my opinion, like it's like, does it even matter that it has that slight difference DNA? I guess maybe
again, yeah.
It's an interest
for the pet trade
of the history, but yeah, it's for the pet trade, and like it's such a minute amount. Another thing is too, hybrids do occur in the wild. A rat snake and a corn snake, they most definitely sometimes hybridize in the wild. There were actually some people, one herper I talked to, a legit person, it was Norm Dam. He knew somebody that found a gopher snake copulating with a Cal King. And it makes sense. I mean, they hang out underneath the same boards that, mix up pheromones and stuff like that. Somebody over near me found, like, an hour north of me, they found a fox snake black rat hybrid. So these hybrids do occur sometimes, in areas where they overlap. Like Pituophis and the Pantherophytes, and the Lampropeltis, they're not that hard to hybridize. So it sometimes occurs in the wild. So if somebody has like a 99.9% corn snake, do I really care? I would say no. I think it's like a little interesting to have that information, but like Dave said, it's for the pet trade. I would say the best thing to do is just to be honest. But then people,
right.
People all have their own fucking opinions, which is cool. It makes everybody different.
Let me plant the seed really quick, and then I'll get back to you in a few years. White collar xanthic chihuahuas. Just
again,
pop it over.
When you see me,
sorry.
And that's a recessive, so it'll take a couple extra years.
Yeah. If you're gonna go, you got to go big, man. Like if you're gonna go,
might as well throw fire in there too. Make it fire. Super fire exantic.
I do like that. I'd rather see a leucistic gargoyle shape than a leucistic chihuahua. Like I just like the whole structure of the gargoyles. I think that'll be a prettier leucistic. Is that even possible?
I'll let you know. I'll let you know in a couple years. Some people have done gargoyle gecko, crested gecko hybrids. Very, very few. I know only of 2 people that have said that they've done it and showed pictures. And they're underwhelming, honestly. I think the Chihuahua crested hybrid is by far the coolest that I've seen. But like the Saracenorum crested hybrid is cool too, but it's not like crazy. It looks a lot like a Saracenorum. And then the the gargoyle crested hybrid, at least the one that I saw, looked like a crested gecko without any crests, and it had like these big scales, like beady scales around. So it was interesting.
Did you ask if the tail regenerates?
I don't know. No, I didn't, but that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
There was somebody at the Phoenix show that had a hybrid, is a Chihuahua crested. And then pale scales, Danielle, she was like thinking about it. She was looking at it. Somebody bought it though. It was like $600 too. Like it sold pretty quick.
Yeah. They're popular. When people have them, they're popular.
Yeah, that's a hell of a market. $600 each, man. I could. That's a lot more than a lot of those crested geckos you're making.
Yeah, exactly. The issue is that they have a lot of infertility issues. Like the eggs go bad a lot. From what I've been told from people who produce them. Not me, I'm a purist.
No, of course.
So,
I have a question. It's kind of, I don't know if you dabbled in this early on, but Leachianus. Is there any new Leachianus morphs or projects or anything really exciting coming up? Because I mean, Leachianus, they're kind of like, I don't know if they're considered like the kings of the racks, but for me, they're one of my favorites. They're such a cool looking gecko.
yeah, so there's the melanistic, which is like a recessive gene, obviously. There's like I was telling Dave earlier about my white gargoyle geckos. There are these white lychees, but it's kind of like the same thing where nobody could figure them out and they can't reproduce them. It happens to be like a one-off, and there's like 3 or 4 people that have them. But with the lychees, it's like selective breeding. Like there's some people that have, like our friend Johnny has gotten so much red
Oh,
and
Johnny Rax, yeah.
like yeah, Johnny Felicini or Fettuccini, whatever. But he's gotten a bunch of fucking red into these lychees, and it's crazy, like the extent that they could be, you know, that they could be selectively bred.
Yeah, because the initial ones aren't very red at all. Like the original, like any wild lychee I
No,
have seen, or
not
like,
at all.
Let's say, yeah, like pure locale. It's like, you know, maybe like the like the snowflake, whatever locale those are. Like you maybe get like a little bit of pink, you know.
Yeah,
That's
but
all.
yeah,
all
like
I've
very
seen, like,
little.
15, 18 years ago. But yeah, I've seen some of those ones that are like really dark. They're almost like a forest green, and they have like nice red on them. They look like I don't know, like red lichen, like moss and stuff. They're really, really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's the way that the lychee game kind of has. It's always been like the locality stuff, the pure locality stuff, especially with like the GTs and stuff, and then like the high red, high pinks, high purple stuff.
Like,
It'll be interesting.
I remember the prankster had that fake albino we posted, and then it got reposted like a decade later, I feel.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
Was that who posted that? That was some nice Tiki, was it?
I don't remember who posted it. I just remember like it looked like they grabbed like they photoshopped like a bad leopard gecko into an into a lychee or something.
That's funny.
Well, what about isn't there the Hypo project, or they're getting those white lychees every once in a while? Has that been like, is that dialed in yet?
That's what I was just talking about. That's not, nobody's done anything with that. And I know Northern Gecko has bred them back to each other, like the offspring from the white lychee back to the original white lychee, and they haven't had luck.
Really?
So,
that's interesting. Yeah. You'd think that'd be like a polygenic, and like, you know, especially being a light faint one that would run semi-true. It's pretty interesting that it's pretty inconsistent.
Yeah, it might be some epigenetic thing going on, maybe an incubation. Like, I don't know, because people had, like, there's some random ones scattered throughout. Like, Johnny has one, I think. Leaping Leechies has one. Mark from Northern Gecko has one, and maybe one more person. But nobody has been able to, like, consistently produce them.
Interesting. Well, the one thing I think that's interesting about everything we're doing is selective line breeding is like the really big thing. That's like, you know, you got the skinks, the racodactylus, even like, you know, leopard geckos, you know, hognose snakes, corn snakes. And the funny thing is, like, look what they've done with koi carp over a period of a few hundred years. And the reptile selective line breeding is still actually very young. So I tell people too, it's like everybody thinks like, you know, everybody feels like late to the game, but there's always something that you can do and improve on.
Yeah.
And it's like strong selective line breeding where people have actually been getting serious with it. Let's say with the racodactylus, skinks, leopard geckos, hognose, you name it. Obviously, I'd say skinks has probably been a little less time versus these other species probably. They'd probably, I figured, man, you would agree with that one. So I kind of watched the skink thing. I was like, yeah, there's a little bit of line, but not a lot, not real serious. But people have gotten more serious in the last, like, I don't know, 15, 20 years. And it's like, that's really young. This stuff's going to look nuts in another 20, 40, 50, even like 100 years, unfortunately, when I'm dead, because I want to see this stuff. That's the only reason I want to live another 100 years. I want to see what it looks like. So keep my brain and eyes alive in an aquarium so I can see it and then euthanize me.
With AI.
In 100 years?
No, everything will be banned.
Yeah,
everybody's gonna be allergic to meat. Everybody's gonna be allergic to meat, eating fucking roaches and pea protein.
I wanted to make like a video like that, David. Like, you know, like in 100 years from now, and it's like, you know, you're like, I'm trying to keep my hognose snakes, but the government has made it like banned like 20 years.
You're like underground.
Yeah. You know, Fish and Wildlife swarms my place. Like, I'm running out of like my place with my hognose wrapped in a blanket. They catch me and they just execute, like they shoot me, and I'm like trying to hold my hognose, and they pull a gun out, and they're like, "You're basically as good as a fucking murderer, you piece of shit," and they just execute me.
Jeff, don't be surprised if you see that in one of our YouTube videos now. That's a great idea.
It's not. Yeah, it could be. I asked, like, that was my favorite question. We did with Nick Mutton. Nick Mutton is great. I asked him, like, Nick, I was like, tell me, where do you think the ball python market is going to be in 100 years from now? Because there ain't going to be a ball python market in 100 years. Gone. I was like, well, that's kind of pessimistic. I was like, I think it can still easily be around.
Well, how about this? I mean, the Rhytodactylus market's not going anywhere. The skink market's still lingering. Ball pythons are here forever. Like, what species could you guys see in completely dropping off? There's got to be something on the edge or the fringe right now.
Well, I think monitors are going to be like Asian water monitors. Our tegus.
Okay.
Yo, the tegus got wiped from Florida and Georgia and like
Virginia, I think,
Virginia,
Carolinas.
But like the big breeders were in Florida, like all the big breeders were in Florida, and I feel like that market's like dead. Maybe I know there's like Rose City in Texas that works with them, but I don't know. I don't see anything like happening. Maybe just because I'm also not looking at it as much, but it feels like nobody talks about it online or anything. Tegus.
Well, they are so getting pushed around. Mike Schultz had success this year in Missouri. He brought him out in the spring, got him an outdoor enclosure. Just got a clutch the other day. So
nice.
He's still holding on to the dream. But yeah, Arkansas was the last state that just banned them. So yeah, it's gonna keep on going. I'll be honest, man. The tegus, I've always said it. If there was ever going to be a story of a kid getting attacked in Florida, it'd be by a tegu. Like, luckily it hasn't happened yet, but like, they're aggressive.
Well, the wild ones for sure, but they're also like incredible pets, bro. Like they're such good pets when we had them.
They were the best.
I've heard about people saying, even though crazy ones, like I'd hear like people saying, like, and I don't know how true this is, they'd say like you could find one in the wild and it could be like a nut job. And they said if you get in captivity and you feed it and you work with it, they're within 1 or 2 months, they're like it's handleable and calm. Is that?
Yeah, they're very intelligent.
It's not out of the realm of possibility. Yeah, it's not out of the realm of possibility.
One dude swore by it. He said, he goes, no, if you work with them, he goes, as soon as you feed them and you see that you're bringing them food and you're no longer a threat, because they learn very quick. And they make really good pets. That was my one gripe. I remember because my cousin Eddie, he likes reptiles, and he is talking about Clint's Reptiles, and he has the star rating. And so he was talking about because he got a Savannah monitor. I found a neighbor got a Savannah monitor, got loose. They caught it. It was a little wily, but I held it. I was like, oh, this was really well fed and taken care of. He wanted to adopt it. I was like, you can take it. His name was Potato. And then he looked it up. And Clint gave a Savannah monitor like 1.5 stars. I'm like, that's a pretty low rating. And then I see this guy. He gives an Argentine tegu. He gave it like 3 stars. I'm like, those are pretty comparable species with, how big they get, space, handability, and and then my cousin Eddie was like burst out laughing because I was ripping into it. I was like, the whole star system's fucked. It's got to be thrown away and totally revamped. I said, you can't give a Savannah monitor a 1.5 star.
Damn it, Clint.
A 3? I think it's like the same thing. I think that'd be like having like a rat snake, and you're like, I'm gonna give this like a 1 star. This black rat snake kind of gets big, it's and then you get the corn snake. Like, oh,
it's like 5 stars.
Yeah, this is like a 5-star snake. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? You can't do that. Now they're different species, but their parameter, their size, and everything. He's making an argument. I think he needs to redo that one.
So we got a guy in St. Louis that breeds Savannah monitors. Yeah, I think he had like 2 clutches this year. Like, I've only ever heard of that like 3 times or 4 times ever in the United States, but he kept them lean, bug diet, and like got eggs. I don't know if they'll be worth anything, sadly, because so many come in the country. There is kind of something cool there, but it's doable. Just we've been doing it wrong.
You'd be surprised. Some of those captive bred animals do go for a premium. Even like things like fire skinks, right? Yeah. Like they're imported super cheap, but then when people captive breed them and selectively breed them because they have some crazy reds.
Especially when you're the only one doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty. The fire skinks are very pretty. Nice iridescence. Nice red.
Yeah.
A lot of line breeding capabilities. The young
If
ones had
that
blue in
animal
them.
wasn't so like heavily imported, that would be a very expensive animal. Because the reds
Sure.
are like some of those reds that we've had in the past are. It's hard to any animal to compete with that red. It's crazy.
Yeah.
No. Well, there was a few mutations that came in through Outback a few years ago that proved out once we got them in, right?
Yeah, the Axanthics. There was like Axanthic and like something else.
There's like
With
Padmus.
the
There was an
fire skink.
albino, but it died like a week or two after being imported. It was in bad shape. I remember seeing a picture of it.
Yeah.
I never saw it.
It didn't look good. It was like, for one, it was a big older one, and it was like pretty pale. And I was like pretty surprised. You think it'd be more colorful, but I think it was just like not the most colorful fire skink. And then also it died 2 weeks later. So a lot of times when they're not doing good, the color kind of like fades on them. So I think that's what it was. But obviously, it's like you could breed it to the really high red ones, and it would have been great. But yeah, you think they would have found more too, going back to that area. But yeah, they had it and it died. It was Ian, because I seen pictures of it. Mike Schultz should have the picture too, maybe.
I'll have to
I'm
ask him.
surprised he got to adult size.
You know what? The funny thing is, that's like, I think that's like the common reaction. But man, there's so many species that, like, I definitely think, of course, certain ones are way more to be targeted. But then you have things where it's like, I'd say ball pythons is less surprising because they're pretty fossorial. And same with hognose snakes. Like, I interviewed Richard Evans, and he was the guy to kind of kick off the albino and the pink pastel albino, and those were both found in the wild. And so that's my one question. And I already kind of presumed that's like, I doubt they were found as little babies. And so I was like, how big were they? He goes, well, they were both males. He goes, yeah, they were like, like 12, 14 inches. And then Jeff Leclerc, he found an albino hognose in the wild up in Minnesota, actually. Or well, he wouldn't disclose the state. That may have been the state, but he herps other states. But he didn't want to say. And I'm like, that's fine. I was like, understandable. And I was like, well, was it an adult? And what sex was it? He goes, it was an adult and it's a big female. But those are also like, hognose are very, very, secretive. They're semi-fossorial, and they're very reclusive. So I can see them getting away with being like a mutation, especially sometimes a lot of times they have like dirt and soot on them, so it covers them a bit. And I think fire skinks are fairly nocturnal, so like, and then even fat tails, they found albino adults in the wild, so a lot of times it seems like the morphs like kind of do pretty good, or at least they don't have as big as a disadvantage as sometimes we think. But it also depends on the species. Certain species probably are going to be a big target, especially if it's like a bullfrog. Something more out there. It's got to grow up through being a tadpole. It's got a big target on it. It's a big white bumbly tadpole.
So you guys have probably seen the pictures, but in South America, they've had like 3 or 4 T-negative anacondas found in the wild, and like
that's cool.
Some of them have been really big animals. You might have saw the one where like somebody took a hatchet to it and like cut it 2 times on the face.
Oh, no, I did not see that.
Yeah, I got the picture somewhere. It got reshared recently. But yeah, somebody came across it and big snake, so tried taking the head off. It was alive still afterwards.
Hopefully it survived and they just let it go, and then that person died.
Let's see. So what else is going on in the world of Tiki geckos? You guys adding species, content, expanding?
I mean, I just produced some reptile boas for the first time from yours that I raised from babies. So that was really
great,
cool.
By the way, bud.
Yeah, dude, I'm really happy with it. I got really lucky. And also, like, it proved out to be Snow, which is awesome, the female. And then also, you didn't tell me she had the jungle gene as well.
So sometimes the jungle's low expression. Did you get super jungles?
I got some. I'll send you some photos. I don't know. I'm new, but there's some that are almost all the way down, like from the top. Yeah. So I was like, huh?
It's a good hit. The jungle gene sometimes can hide, but then when it pops up, man, it's super high expression.
Yeah. So it's really cool. I'm really happy with it. Species wise, we've kind of been like reducing a little bit just to kind of like hone, because we were working with too much stuff at one point, and it just like it's hard, because it's easier to take care of like 100 of the same species than 10 of 10 different species. Things eat different, they breed different, they brumate different, everything, right? So we've kind of just been trying to hone in on like a couple, like just getting rid of some of the extra stuff and just hone in on what we specialize in.
Nice. Yeah, I want to be around like 10 species a year, maybe get up to like 15. I think this year we hit about 10, and the ones we did, we were very successful across the board with all of them. But you know, Bree's taking care of a lot of this stuff and doing the breeding, or I'm doing breeding and other stuff. Because of that, it makes it a lot easier. Like you said, actually dialing in 10 or 15 species and when everything needs to do what it needs to do, and especially when I'm still doing the skinks hands-on, which is taking up like an entire month of my life every single year. So, you know, I will say it is getting a little bit easier. You know, Cheryl has been paying a lot of attention to body language on the animals, you know, pinching the hips, you know, just kind of like we're not forcing them to breed anymore. And you guys, again, keeping them outside together, you got the life. Like,
yeah, it's a lot easier, like on me, like having to pair everything up individually. You know, so I've been keeping them in groups, 1.2 max, and I've actually also been separating the males. So I've been putting the males back inside in racks after they've bred, just to give the females more space, because not so much that I've noticed the females fight the male. It's more the females with each other, especially towards late term pregnancy. But without, you know, having one animal less in there, it just gives a lot of space and has been a lot better. But it makes my life so much easier having them in the outdoor giant pens. And they breed better. The production's about, like, percentage wise, it seems like it's still the same. But I've noticed like some females that you have those females, Dave, that like 3, 4, 5 years in a row you've bred and nothing's come out. Yeah. All those girls that have been like that have produced for me outside.
Nice.
Awesome. Yeah. So, you know, I going into this skink year, like, you know, I talked about it. I was gonna put a real big fucking effort in, and if it didn't go well, I was gonna back off a little bit. So it didn't go as well as it should have. I am backing off a little bit. You know, right now I think I'm right around like 80 adults. I'm going to get that number down to 60. You know, I already plan on getting rid of about 20 females. Out of anything I'm getting rid of, I'm going to get off the girls and just, you know, have more males to female ratio. You know, every year I think I'm going to hold back like 10 animals. You know, last year was a lot of red or a lot of dark stuff, a lot of like orange dark stuff. I put a red to the side, and I put, you know, a couple of the random animals, some caramel stuff I'm messing with still. But like, I think I'm going to fully reset, man. And I'm kind of doing that across the board on a lot of species, but like, you know, I'm getting way too inconsistent. And in the early days of doing this, I was not this inconsistent. So I think the reset is going to get it there. And also, I'm not even going to produce 100 skinks this year. To have 80 adults of anything and not even be able to make 100 babies, you're doing something wrong. So like I said, I'm going to refine it, but, you know, I'm a few bad seasons in a row of bad breeding, and Turner White was my big focus this year. I got a couple of really unique males from Cheryl a few years ago. I bred it to like all my cool, like sunset red Turner White outcrosses and every weird thing we did. I got like 5 litters and 7 babies to show for it. So I had a lot of like kicks in the nuts this year. Now I'm holding back all 7 because that was one thing I wanted to push harder on. Like, I love the Turner White stuff, but like, that species has got my number the last couple of years, man. So I'm going to ease off just a hair.
Sounds like you need to turn that around.
I'm trying to turn it around, buddy. And it's just, I'm trying. But no, like I said, it's older stock.
Well, let me ask you a question on this, like, because with the skinks and everything. So the outdoor stuff of keeping them, it's been more successful. You had ones that weren't reproducing as well. And now those ones that were like missing are actually hitting. And I'm sure, too, like, keeping them, like, indies like out there is probably more rewarding, too. Taking care of them, it's probably a little, like, you know, in some cases easier. I'm sure there's certain things that are harder about it, more space, you know, especially to set up and everything. But the overall care is probably pretty easy and pretty rewarding, too, to work on them, right?
Yeah, it's really neat to pay attention to their behavior. Obviously, their behavior is completely different outside. And all that, and I think that's also I've also noticed a difference in like the quality of the litters, because for some reason all the time you would get some females that would just eat like completely slug out, or not just slug out, but also like just stillborns or a bunch of kinked babies, and I always kind of was like, what's going on here? And then since I put them outside, it's been very minimal. It's been a big difference. I mean, it makes sense, right? They're a lizard. Like, I think UV plays a big role, especially with the females. Specifically with the girls. And another thing would happen as well is like the girls during late term pregnancy would kink, right? Their tails would start kinking a little bit because their body, you know, is taking everything for the babies, and their tails start kinking. And like I haven't had that happen with girls that have been out there like at all, you know. And they still also get really thin, you know. Everything is getting sucked out of them on some of those girls, but they've been good. Very, very few like kinked babies. I know that I've seen it from specific lines more like that are heavily line bred, which makes sense. But it's just the quality of babies have been a lot better too.
Okay.
So random thing to bring up, but you know, because of so much line breeding, caramels have almost completely fallen off in the hobby. Like I hardly see any caramel stock anywhere.
Yeah, and you know, I never really liked it too much, so I never really kept any of it as well. But yeah, like I don't see as much Turner White stuff. I don't see as much caramel stuff. Most of the stuff I see, even like Sunrise. Like, when's the last time you've seen like a pure or like a good Sunrise? You know.
Well, I think a lot of that did get a little inbred to keep it as pure as possible, and I do have some stock from that, but I cannot get them to breed, and they did not get that big.
Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff that's kind of gone missing.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah. Probably the inbreeding could have been a part of it, and then maybe the setup too. Maybe even these ones that are a little more inbred, they would do better if they were like in an outdoor setup.
Yeah, exactly, and I think that helps a lot. And then also for me, like I have a lot of Sunrise stock, Swedish stock, but a lot of my stuff is outcrossed. You know, I try not to line breed as much as possible. I actually try to completely avoid it with the blue tongues because they're so heavily line bred. You know.
Yeah.
And like honestly though, a lot of times, like some of my favorite animals have been when I cross them, like the red to the Swedish. Like I did a lot of the Sunrise to Swedish. So some of my favorite animals have been Sunrise Swedish animals. So like outcrossing them, I think has actually been better for me at least.
All right, I'm going to ask a crazy hypothetical. Although Dave looked like he was about to say something.
I don't have shit to say, but keep going.
Okay, crazy hypothetical. You can look into the future to see what the species has become with selective line breeding, but you can only choose one. You choose either the northern blue-tongued skinks, Cresteds, Gargs, or Leachianus. Which one are you choosing to look at in the future and what they become in about 100 years from now?
Crested geckos.
Okay, there's a lot going on, David.
There's a lot.
I'm surprised. I thought he was gonna say blue tongues. I thought it was a biased question for him, but you know, I'm gonna say gargoyles.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's still so much more potential with the gargoyles. Well, like Cresteds is like damn near endless potential, but gargoyles is so much potential because not a lot of people are doing things differently. So it'll be interesting to see in 100 years what it looks like.
Dave, you choose one now.
Well, I mean, I'm going to go skinks, even though I just shit on them for like 5 minutes. Skinks for now. So, you know, me looking on the outside, like the gargoyles to me are where like crested geckos were when reds were like $500 to $700 when they were at their peak. Oranges were kind of coming on. You know, I'm sure when that industry gets a mutation, because you guys saw what it did to crested geckos, it'll just be a whole new fucking ball game. And that goes for about any species, man.
Yeah.
But
what about you?
Question.
What about you, Jeff?
Yeah. How long have you guys been friends?
Since high school.
Yeah,
since high school. Okay,
like
that's
14.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, we graduated 2011.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
So I was going to ask you about it because I do like a good origin story, and I know there's a few companies along the way that got you where you're at. But like, you know, when did things really kind of get rolling for you guys?
I mean, after high school, like as like a friendship, like we knew each other in high scholl, but it's not like we would hang out much. But I remember everything like vividly. Like we were at a mutual friend's graduation party that he showed up late to. And then I just happened to be like, it's kind of boring. Like, I'm going to go. And then he's like, wait, I'll go with you. I was like, all right. And then he's like, hey, man, we should like hang out. I'm like, sure. And then I remember I came over. I've always loved animals, you know, since I was a little kid, fishing, all that stuff. And then I remember going to his house, and I was like, this is cool. And that's when he introduced me to crested geckos. And I used to breed fish back then, like beta fish, and sell them online on Aquabid and stuff. And then he got me into the crested geckos. And then he made me overpay for one. And I still have her till this day. She's an old girl. And then like we would just hang out like every day. I remember I'd be at his, in his garage till like 2 a.m, helping him feed geckos for free.
We'd like go feed. We'd go feed geckos and then go out to like go out with our buddies or something.
Yeah.
Or come back after a long night and do that.
Yeah.
A lot of nights.
Nice. So that's a lot of fun. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's nice to see something going as long as you guys kept it going. We know there's been a million partnerships in the hobby. It could be difficult. I'm glad you guys are still having fun doing this.
Yeah. No, I mean it's really there's a lot of different trains of thought. Like some people say don't do business with family, or some people say, do business with family, but I think it's a no-brainer for me. Like there's nobody else I would trust more than Manny. Like Manny's not my family by blood, but he's family like by just how long we've been friends and what our friendship has become. But like not just him, but like my brother works here, my dad works here, my wife works here. So it's like I want to be around people that I trust and that I don't have to worry about anything. And ultimately, like, because we all kind of like want the best for each other, we all kind of like figure it out. And even if there's like some disagreements, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, that's cool.
Guys. It's a real tearjerker. Should we end it on that? Because I feel like actually, hold on, I'm gonna I don't mean to like hijack the moment, but I found that tick picture.
Not the one on your balls, right?
Oh my god.
No, this is the other side. And by the way, this was like right when my ass started like getting old. Like it was really great in my 20s for the record. But
it's a picture of your ass.
Yeah, you see all those red dots everywhere?
Oh my god.
Unfortunately,
yeah, just completely covered, buddy.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. You think I found that?
No, honestly,
I thought you were gonna show your gooch or something, bro.
No. I've never even seen the thing, man. I'm not gonna show it to you guys.
They just wanted to show us a picture of his ass. And the picture's like this far away. Like you see the tick.
You know how many of those pictures I had to go through to find that one? I didn't just want to show you my ass. I wanted to show you the ticks on my ass.
Okay.
But by the way, back to you guys. So like I said, I think that's fucking awesome. Because
it's a good story.
Whenever there's a partnership in the hobby, like the problem is, and I think everybody knows this, is somebody just needs it a little more than somebody else sometimes. Maybe they're a little greedier in moments, and like usually that's when things like stop being even. And being around somebody like I could be around Jeff all the time. I find Jeff entertaining. We could talk for hours. There could be a partnership there, but there's no reason to be. We're both so successful. It's nice to have people you like around you, and it's nice when it's like real fucking genuine and can go on forever. So, I didn't mean to hijack it with my ass there, guys, but I really love that story.
Well, no, that's good. It's like it's good to try to uplift people in the community, friends and even customers, of course everybody you can, but yeah, especially the friendships and everything like that, like Dave, we can learn stuff from one another and help each other in either way, that we can. We did a show together. It's like, try to, negotiate and like how we could like tactfully like make this the best for one of us. Is that the original Crested?
This is her. Yeah. She's like, I must have got her. She was like under a year, but she's probably around 16 years old now. 15, 16. Because I got her when I was 18. I'm 33.
Those can live like 60 years, right?
We'll find out. They haven't been around that long.
Yeah, because like, didn't somebody have like they had a gargoyle that was like supposedly like almost 60 years old and it looked like a burrito?
Yeah, so Paul Murlock has a gargoyle that he thinks is like around 50 years old. So maybe who knows? I know there was in the West Palm Beach Zoo there was a lychee that was like well over 40 years old.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Because did you remember the one that was like it was at Tinley once? It was a gargoyle.
Yeah.
And it was,
yeah.
That's
he's in Florida. That's Paul. Yeah.
when I first seen it, I'm like, what's wrong with it? I'm like, why is it like that? Then I found, oh, it's really, really old. Because then they were making videos about it. I looked at it. I'm like, why the fuck is that on the table? No. But then I was like, oh, okay, it's a really old one. So it's like its body's like, that happened with it in captivity over just really long time. So it's actually impressive that they're, because like I've seen old leopard geckos that are 30 years old and they look like a wrung out dish rag. So they change over time. But yeah, it was very interesting to see that and to even hear that. Oh, these things can live like 40 plus years.
Oh yeah, yeah. Definitely the lychees and the guards.
Yeah. So, a little more too, because, I enjoyed your guys' whole coming ups. I think when I visited you the one time, you're running out of like your aunt's house or something like that, a rental property.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I forgot. Yeah.
Yeah. That was the hood house.
So we went, that was a hood house. So we went from like my mom's garage, like where it started was in my mom's garage. Then we rented that place out, which was Manny's cousin's, or no, it was Manny's aunt's place. And then we moved here. So it's in West Palm Beach now, allegedly.
I love the aunt's place, man. I just remember it was just wall to wall and just like, everything was so cool.
That place,
you guys got a lot in there.
Yeah, that place was crazy. You got to come now.
Yeah, for real, dude. It's a huge difference, man.
No, that's cool, man. West Palm Beach show. How do you guys like that one? You been doing that one?
Yeah, I mean it's fairly close to us, so like it's a no-brainer. And there's a couple different companies that put on, like Reptilian Nation puts up a show. Then there's like Scales and the Mega Plant and Reptile show, and they're all really good shows. So we always do them.
Shit. Well, I guess I didn't know about the other three. I always knew about the Reptilian Nation one. I guess that's good.
Yeah,
Not great.
It's all right. It's good. It's all right.
It's just tough when there's too many shows in an area, though. It makes it.
It is.
It spreads it out a little too much. It's happened to Hamburg. It happened to White Plains back in the day. It's tough, man. I've been to cities that I've loved, and they get a little worn out.
You got free tickets now.
Yeah,
they're pushing it.
Yeah, this is the first time they set up the June Tinley, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you'll let us know how it is then, because hopefully it's good for you.
I think it'll be okay. It's not going to be as good as March or October. So I keep telling, I put out my stories, if you ever wanted to go to the Tinley show when it's hot out, there's your opportunity. If you ever want to do Tinley when it's hot outside, now you can. That's the difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'll be honest, it actually sounds kind of nice because it snows at every Tinley, whether it's in the fall or the spring.
Yeah, if you've done a bunch of back-to-back October Tinleys or March ones where you got a bunch of fucking shit weather, that maybe it actually is kind of appealing the way I'm putting it. They're what, the last few times I went there, I almost wiped out on ice. So yeah, maybe I will go to the June one.
No, I'd be curious. Well, shit, guys. So I would like to say this. We kind of talked a little bit about blue tongue mutations. I think it is going to be a really exciting year. I'm really excited to see the success that Heather has. Having these things actually truly available is going to definitely prove what that market's going to do. I do think that the buzz is going to get better in that community this year. I do think money from other communities will start moving into it because, again, the mutations will draw people in once we figure out what the sweet spot is. I really do see things going in the right direction. I mean, I don't see how it couldn't. We have everything we've ever needed, and everything looks its best. So I like that market right now. Sometimes I don't know if I sound negative about it. I'm just a little real about it when I talk about it. Maybe too real, but I am very excited to see what that market does this year.
Yeah, I think especially with Phenom coming out also and being able to sex them and maybe sell them as sex, or especially like the higher end stuff that you don't want to pay $5,000 for a skink and not know, is this a male, female? Is it going to work out for my plans or not? So Phenom, I think, is going to help out a lot with that.
Yeah, unless you're me, you're not doing that,
No, the Phenom thing really is kind of perfect timing because 2 years ago there were albinos available, but this is going to be the year where everything she's been working on is possibly going to be available. So this is the time the test is going to come in handy. Be curious what's going to go on. I got I got the stickers in from them the other day, and I got the little postcards. So I'm going to start popping them in with all my skinks. Until I start working mutations, I don't think I'm going to do much testing, because if I like the animal, I'm going to hold it back regardless of what the sex is. But when I start getting into the mutation game, I will definitely be testing everything. And, the cheat code, like in ball pythons, and a lot of cheat codes in this episode. I'm not sure this was a good advice episode, but, a quad het blue tongue right now, they're going to get the test style in for that. I'm sure they're going to get the mutations done. You could treat it just like the ball python community. You can get a triple head or quad head and start breeding into all your northern stock, all your reds, your yellows, your whites, and you can pretty much be doing all the mutations in a short period of time. So when quad heads become available and those tests are available through Phenome, I'm definitely going to want to go that route. But that's the poor man's route, though. It's going to take a little longer. You got to spend a little money, but saves you a $20,000 investment. Is that shit advice? Your guys' faces. Did I just take the air out of the room?
Okay, it is a strategy.
Yeah, that's it.
It is a form of a strategy.
A
I don't think it's that.
It's unconventional.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What do you mean it's unconventional? You a ball python breeder, bud? I'm just.
You know what? If I was doing that, this is like I was real into the shed testing and thinking about I could do this with these hognose projects. You know where I'm at now? I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna produce a pasta. I'm just gonna fucking keep them. Maybe I get a few tested, and as long as I know the males are hets, I was like, I'm not testing all this shit. I'm just going to still go old school for the majority of it.
Yeah, but for me, it's gonna make my life easier with the sexing, because when I'm keeping them in groups and you're not unsure, that's when most of
that one does seem very helpful.
You're like, oh, I thought you were 2 girls and a male, and then it's like 3 males. You're like, oh,
they're missing all their legs.
Yeah.
Well, they're not bearded dragons, buddy. What? So are you raising like a litter up together and then like getting them used to each other, like are individuals when they're young?
No, not at all. So what I'm keeping them individual in the rack systems, just because it's too many babies. I can't be doing that. But when I wait 2 years to breed mine, or 2 seasons, and then what I do is I pair them up during when we start getting cold, like November. So once we start getting like that first real good cold front, that's when I pair them up. Because even if it's like 2 males, they don't really tend to fight until like it's starting to like spring and warm up. So I've had a lot of good luck doing it like that. It's kind of like how we do for the Leachianis, how we do for like Tokay geckos, how we do for a lot of things. We pair up when the animal's metabolism starts slowing down, and you get it's higher chances of them getting along.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And because they're kind of already used to each other at that point, like the next few months as it starts warming up. And for the most part, they're good, unless there's an extra male in there and it's breeding season now. And yeah, that's when the problems usually start happening.
So groups are being separated. Nothing's year round with you guys. Is anybody in Florida keeping like a 1.2 together year round, even through birth? Or is everybody separating?
Well, I mean, from birth, you can't really, right? Because you don't know what the sexes are. Now you can know with females.
No, I'm sorry. What I meant to say, are you keeping breeding groups together even when gravid females are in there?
I have, and if I notice there's not really like all nipping going on, because there'll be signs like their tails will be a little nipped up or their head. But for the most part, I brought in almost every single male. There's like 2 or 3 males I left in there, and they're doing fine. There's some groups, I've had some groups in the past where they've gone along perfect for like 2 years. But also at the same time, sometimes when that happens, they didn't produce a single baby.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. And I done it before like that in the past, where I left the males in there the entire time. I just noticed that there was more fighting going on. So this year I tried taking them out. And surprisingly, they don't eat the babies. Like the males don't mess with the babies. The females don't mess with, like, even if it's a different female's baby, they leave them alone.
I like that. Yeah, I started, or I need to start doing it, but like if I catch a female giving birth, I've been taking the babies away like mid-birth, just like if there's a few out. But I feel like that sometimes makes the female stop, so I really need to start just leaving them in there, because I generally do believe she pauses when I take those babies out of there. Like she knows.
Yeah, I just leave them. Like even if I just outside, like I'll just do a thing where I'll lift up or something, so I know okay, check for babies later, and then I just let them all, born in there, eat their embryo, and then I'll take them out.
Yeah, I had like one female aggressively bite a baby one time, and I think that was just in my head after that, but it only ever happened one time.
Yeah, Heather told me about a male, one like Indonesian. I forget. I don't know if it was a Maruki or a Jaya, but he would eat the babies.
Oh shit.
Yeah, but that's the only one that she's ever come across like that. But mine, I haven't none of that. Thankfully, so far.
It's good. It's good.
Yeah. I would love to put like little cameras in there, like like the Ring cameras or something, just on all the cages. So I can always just see. Like kind of what's going on, how they're behaving with each other.
No, I think so. This is gonna sound kind of silly, but I bring it up. There used to be this thing on YouTube called like Chicken City, where you could put in a super chat and it gave a treat party, and it would just fling treats out for the chickens, and but it'd be like a 24-hour camera on chickens. There was a lot of money on that, man. So like you could set up something for the skinks like that, where they're gonna be like super chats, get like treats thrown in there, maybe a couple dubia drop in from above.
They're gonna be made so fat.
You gotta change up the groups,
and they're not gonna produce.
Camera.
That's so funny.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, why not? Oh, you know what? I'm really sad, and I'm not sure there's even any in the United States anymore. But the really nice Kimberly Northerns, I always wanted those.
Yeah, same. They're my favorite. They're my favorite of the Northerns. I didn't even know there were pure ones, out there in the States.
I think that's another thing that Don had at one point, where I'm not sure if he was successful, but I knew he had some at one point. And I do think it was right around the time where you could or could not ship. If I remember, that was another one I kind of dragged my feet on. And what was that gentleman's name overseas that like a decade ago he bred like two normals together and made like 5 new mutations?
I'm not.
You
sure.
remember that?
I know of one guy who made one mutation overseas in Germany, which was the hypocalico stuff that I have. I actually got some from him before they closed down the importing.
It was in the Asian market, and again, this was probably about 8 years ago, maybe 9 years ago, but he bred them together and it made almost like a white-sided looking animal, and it made like what looked like a T positive.
Oh, I mean, those might have been,
That's the Kimberly.
That's an okay Kimberly. The head doesn't look that good.
That looks pretty good.
Yeah, if you see their like heads, some get like a ton of patterning, and you know what? I've noticed that on some of my animals, some more than others. So I'm pretty sure those bloodlines are all mixed in there. Because there's like specifically 2 that I got from Ray Gerge years and years ago.
Yeah.
They were born with a lot of patterning. It kind of fades a little bit, but it's still there, and it's more than the average Northern.
It was like really shattered.
Yeah, that's still a low expression one, man.
All right.
Those are shit examples.
Okay. I like this one. Now, this one I think is really good. If you guys tell me this one's shit, I'm gone.
It's kind of shit.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
This is a nice looking skink.
That's a nice looking skink. So
right here.
That's pretty cool. It's very unique. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it should be like the first photo. It should be like a cool face shot of the Kimberly Northern.
Oh, this one.
You can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, that's the one I was looking at.
If
I showed you the whole body
like
and I said this one is nice, you'd probably say it's stupid. It looks like
I can even tell it has a nice body. Yeah, I don't even know if those other ones were Kimberlys.
Yeah, they look like stuff that I produced.
No, they're Kimberly.
No. When I see them, I'm looking at the Google pics too, and they are. They just don't. They look like Northerns when Jeff is showing them, but
they look right. Yeah,
like regular Northerns.
Yeah, they look better on Google.
Yeah.
But so I found so that was the baby picture that dude had when he first produced that litter. So he had like that one unique, almost like Kit Kat back one. Then there was like a white one and a T positive, but like.
Could
I
that
think
just
that was
have
another
been like
deal where
a
he might have
quad
been
head
selling some
female
stuff.
or
That was right
something?
around the time that they were shutting things down, and I don't think anybody got anything in.
But you know what I mean? Could that, because Australia's right there. Could it be?
Some of those things didn't even look Australian.
Now
Really?
that's a picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great shot.
Tight.
My
That'd be
favorite
awesome.
is of that
Enter a
Goldfield.
Zoom call, and that's your profile.
Yeah, damn.
That's cool. Red eye, blue tongue.
You know what's cool, yeah, Dave? I wanted to ask you because I've noticed this in some of mine now, and I don't know if it's from being outside, but some of my animals, including White Walker, their eyes have changed colors. White Walker's is, I think I sent you a photo. It's blue now, and I didn't even notice it when it changed. Like, I just randomly took a photo and I was like, "What the heck?" And then I've noticed a couple of my animals do that of similar lineage as well.
So
Like now there's like 4 or 5 of them that are like gray, and I have pictures of it when they were babies. It was orange, like a normal northern, but it's faded and it's turned gray and blue.
I feel like that's a Jeff question. Is there something that could make the eye color change on the animal based on them having them from indoor outdoor?
Well, light in general will, the refracting off of like eye pigment will look different in different lighting, but I don't think that's what Manny's talking about.
Yeah, and it's changed. Like it's taken. These are animals that are at least like around 5 to 8 years old, and it's taken. But I've noticed it it's from specific lines. Like it's a specific line that's been. And I kind of want to. One of the things I'm gonna do next year is put those animals together because I just noticed that. And
with the gargoyles. With the gargoyles, we have the phantom eye gargoyles that they hatch out with regular eyes, and then over time they start getting all black eyes.
But it's the whole thing, right? It's not just the iris, like the
the iris, the outer reticulated pigment. That's the iris. Yeah.
No, but it's different. Some are like more than others, and obviously the iris on a gecko is different. It's just that sliver.
Well,
yeah,
that's
is it the same thing as just the color part in the eye turns dark, or is it the whole eye turns dark?
No, it's the color part in the eye.
Yeah, the iris there. The one thing is like even look at like humans, like even like I have like blue eyes, but like and it's supposed to be recessive. But if you look at my eyes closely, like there's still like brown and amber and hazel pigment in it. And the thing is like eye pigmentation is like pretty different from like dermal pigmentation, because like some pigment, all the pigment in like dermal, like the upper and lower dermal is all formed from the neural crest during embryonic development. But with eye pigmentation, there's also pigments that are separate from that. That's why leucistics can be, no pigment at all, but there's still some melanin in their eye because their pigment in the eye is coming from different places. And then the structure of an eye is so different. So it's an interesting question because that's not one that I actually have a lot of information on. But I will say, if you look at like even human eyes, there's just so much of a decline in variability. And then what you might be seeing too is something like you see in like sometimes mutations, and then even in animals' natural abilities to change pigmentation based on environmental factors. So I think you're seeing a reaction of an environmental factor bringing out genetic capabilities that the eye does to protect itself. I would assume that the eye is going to naturally, what you're looking at, maybe it's getting richer or darker. But I guess in some cases, even certain things can make them get lighter from the natural light. But I'm assuming they're getting more pigment. Is it getting darker?
It's blue. It went from orange to blue.
It went from orange to blue.
Yeah,
that's pretty interesting. Blue.
Yeah, it's really weird, and I see it happening to some other animals from that specific. And to be fair, I don't know if, for example, White Walker, the first one I noticed that on, I've had that animal since like 2014 or something, and like I've had him inside in racks the entire time until I started doing this, outside. And I just noticed it though. I think it might have changed before I put him outside. Him specifically. Because when I go back to photos, I'm like, oh, it was there.
Yeah, it could be just like age development, ontogenic, like just development and pigmentation, or the eyes being like. I mean, look at like let's say you could say like Siamese cats, even though that's a mutation. If they get cold, they'll get darker. Same with the Tremper albinos. Actually, a Tremper albino mutation is very similar to that of a Siamese cat. The Siamese cat, the T-positive mutation, the reason it's darker at its extremities is because those are the areas that need the most, heat. So that's in the areas where it's most vulnerable for cool spots where it gets the darkest on these Siamese cats. And if a Siamese cat gets like outside, it gets really, really cold and abused, it'll actually get like darker. And then with the Tremper albinos, the thing is there is like, since they're an ectothermic species, there are extremities, like their tails will be affected a little quicker, but overall it's more even versus like a warm-blooded animal like a Siamese cat. But you could take a shrimp albino that's incubated at high temps, has almost no melanin in it at all, expose it to cold temps, and then that activates the melanin. So you might see some type of natural activation process with the eye or some ontogenic shift. That'd be my guess. I'm not sure.
So in theory, if I put them back inside in the rack system, should it go back to normal?
Well, probably not. Sometimes, like let's say, like once the stuff's activated, it is that's what it is. Sometimes there can be some like minor reversals, like with shrimp albinos. If you get them cold and you immediately warm them back up, they'll mostly reverse. But if they're cold long enough, where it seems like the melanophores kind of populate, and you get them like warm again, and you try to heat them up, it might reduce a bit, but it's kind of just there once it's there. And it's kind of the same with the Siamese cat, because we were looking at adopting the Siamese cat. And it got outside, and it had like this kind of like traumatic experience, and it looked really cool actually, probably from effect of that, because it was like, wow, that's like the highest black Siamese cat I've ever seen. And it was like he was missing a part of his body too. We were going to look at getting him, but somebody got him right away, so we ended up finding another cat that needed a home. But anyhow, yeah, so it's just interesting. It's like that'd be the one that you'd pay attention to and see if it. Going back inside, though, I don't think it would change. I think it would stay the same.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, because he's been inside for a few months now, and, like, he's still the same, like, blue.
Still the same,
and I've asked Heather, because, she keeps her blue tongues outside. She hasn't noticed anything. I've asked another Yoshi, who also keeps his stuff outside. He hasn't noticed anything. So it's just really interesting. Like, I just started noticing, and I've only seen a couple animals like that, and it's been from that one. It's from like Ron's Kudo's like sunrise line stuff is when I've noticed it. And he also used to have like weird stuff happen to like some of his Easterns. Like he would just pop out like what looked like almost like a hypo Eastern. Like I don't know if you remember some of those, Dave. Some of those like really funky like caramel looking animals. Yeah, and even like White Walker, he's a red to a sunrise, and everyone else had color, and he came out like caramel almost. And he's changed a lot since from a baby to an adult. Almost looks like a different animal.
Yeah, no. I'm trying to think. Don making those T positive or hypo westerns and xanthic westerns last year. Another fucking freak accident. In the
same litter, crazy, yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, and I don't think those mutations exist anywhere else. Like, I've never seen those before.
Yeah, I haven't either. That stuff is insane.
But the Easterns that Ron had, those ones that, like, bleached out over time, that's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Nothing ever really came out of those. I don't know if the animals were weak in a way or maybe, but I know that was, like, a decade ago.
Yeah, and he produced them a few times, though.
Yeah, they popped up
some more intense than other. And even White Walker, like I said, he's from a really bright yellow animal to like a red lion animal. And it's like he came out caramel. Well, he came out weird and then turned caramel and white. So yeah, he was putting something in the water. He just kept producing that.
Well, what was I gonna say? Well, I don't want to cut it short. I know we can still fuck off for a minute, but I got to wake up at 3 a.m. for a show tomorrow. I'm setting up in the morning. I didn't want to spend the money in a hotel tonight. Figured I'd hang out with you guys instead. But I will definitely do another one.
I gotta get up for the fucking Tinley show. We gotta try hot Tinley. See what hot Tinley does.
Well, if you guys want to sound off, anything you want to throw out there? I mean, anybody who's here probably knows you, but any last words, guys?
Just right, Tiki's geckos everywhere.
Yeah, and Bill Gates, please stop trying to give us ticks. I love meat. I don't want to stop eating meat.
Man. You gotta be
both
safe.
Very good messages.
Yeah. Under Armour keeps them off the flesh.
Just do whatever the opposite Dave's doing, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Hey, that's fair. That's fair. Well, I guess let's sound off. I appreciate you guys' time. Jeff, you able to turn this off or?
No, you have to. I went it to you. You got to click the end live. It's not.
I don't have end live. I'm still in beginner's mode over here. I don't have any.
Up there.
that a thing? I'll message a guy.
Just shut down your computer.
You don't do that at the same time.
Just dunk your computer into water. Unplug it and dunk it in water, and it'll definitely end it.
Delete your browser history before, though.
Delete your browser.
I don't have any browser history. I only do podcasts on this.
He already deleted it.
All right. Well, I guess, guys, all at the same time, we'll just hit the red button and I'll put the word out to shut her down. But appreciate your time. Honestly, I've wanted to do this for weeks. I'm glad you guys didn't stand this up.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah. Couldn't believe
Thank
it.
you, guys.
Dave's undeleted browser history is just naked photos with tick bites.
Yeah, all his ass photos.
All right. Well, thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Good night, boys.
Tiki Geckos, everybody. David is
Peace.
awesome guys. Thanks for being here. Check it out.